All right, you and I are about to witness one of the wildest reincarnation stories out there. This elite bishop commands imperial exorcism squads, yet he just lost a tooth to a milk bottle thrown by a baby. A tiny diaper wearer who can barely hold his own head up just smashed a glowing bottle right into this holy man's face, drawing blood. 5 minutes later, the kid's crimson eyes flash with dangerous light. He channels his remaining strength into one massive burst. A blinding column of pure white light erupts from his tiny body, slamming into the monster with enough force to completely disintegrate it on the spot. Everyone is stunned. A newborn baby just soloed a giant shadow demon. The crowd thinks it is a miracle, believing holy power has awakened inside their new little saint. And the craziest part? This kid was supposed to be dead before ever opening his eyes. Just 5 minutes earlier, 2 nannies were assigned to the newborn. But they are not caretakers. They are deadly assassins. And the milk they are forcing down his throat is actually holy poison, a lethal toxin designed to destroy divine power and quietly eliminate saint candidates before anyone suspects a thing. They expect painful convulsions and a quiet death from natural causes. Instead, the baby downs one bottle, then another, then another. 15 bottles in, he is still going strong. Honestly, the kid eats like me. Far from being in pain, the baby raises a single finger, grins, and basically demands a stronger batch that hits harder. This child isn't just surviving the lethal poison, he is literally feasting on it. Every drop of toxin is being converted directly into raw mana inside his body. Instead of killing him, these clueless assassins just gave their target a massive power boost. And the reason he can handle this is simple. Now pay attention here, because the soul inside this baby is not human. It belongs to Kim Yasuk, the immortal skeleton king, a legendary menace who waged a solo war against the gods. He started out at the absolute bottom, a nameless skeleton summoned on a brutal battlefield. No rank, no power. Honestly, the guy literally had no skin in the game. Armed with only bones and a sword in an endless war, every monster tried to crush him. Yet, he evolved from a disposable soldier into an immortal lich so terrifyingly powerful that the heavens themselves conspired to stop him. Talk about an epic backstory. When the gods who summoned him broke their promise to make him human again, he did not beg for mercy. Instead, he openly declared war on the heavens. The gods panicked and used a holy relic to seal his soul. His response? He gathered every ounce of destructive energy in his body and detonated himself right inside their sacred temple. His last words to the heavens? Eat dirt, you cowards. The blast flattened an entire section of the divine realm, and in the sheer chaos, his soul slipped away, landing right inside a newborn's body. But that relentless, unbreakable will to survive did not actually start on some chaotic fantasy battlefield. Kim Yuso was once just an exhausted human who spent his life grinding like a machine with absolutely nothing to show for it. But then, on one crazy day, two things happened. First, he won the jackpot. And on that exact same day, a doctor told him he only had a few days left to live. He had a disease so incredibly rare, they were literally going to name it after him. Talk about terrible luck. Standing in the pouring rain, holding a winning ticket that meant absolutely nothing, he begged the universe to save him. So, the universe turned him into a skeleton warrior. Now, all that rage and raw power lives inside a newborn. And ironically, his new family happens to be the holiest bloodline in the world, the very people who train daily to destroy his kind. He is their precious heir, growing up in a mansion where knights literally practice stabbing skeleton dummies every single morning. He is surrounded by people who would burn him alive if they knew his identity. You and I can see the bishop is humiliated, but Emperor Alexander is just amazed by the baby's platinum hair, which looks exactly like the empire's legendary founder. This child is starting to look like a genuine saint, which is exactly what the bishop cannot allow. He serves the powerful Barrett family, who have monopolized the papacy and already chosen their own candidate. Every other candidate has to vanish, and Isaac was supposed to be easy. So, the bishop goes nuclear, claiming he senses dark demonic energy from the infant and demanding an immediate exorcism. Isaac did leak a tiny bit of dark mana, and the bishop noticed. Fortunately, the emperor shuts him down, refusing to investigate a precious saint candidate from an allied house. But then, the baby does the unthinkable. His tiny hand reaches out, grabs something hidden in the bishop's robes, and pulls it out. A bandage-wrapped demonic hand wearing a golden rosary. It is the bishop's secret totem, a sealed demon corpse he uses to absorb dark energy. Imagine that. A high-ranking holy man walking around with a demonic artifact hidden on his body. The bishop turns pale, sweating bullets. How could a baby possibly know about his secret? Isaac does not give him time to recover. He snaps his tiny fingers, unleashing pitch-black energy. The sealed demon roars to life as a massive shadow lich materializes inside the temple. Knights scramble, priests scream, and Emperor Alexander turns to the bishop with pure murder in his eyes. The bishop shrieks that the baby set it up, but nobody is listening. A guard grabs Isaac and runs, but the giant lich locks onto the child and charges straight through the guards, not to attack, but to rescue him because the creature recognizes its true master. Knights are tossed aside like toys as the beast bellows about saving its imprisoned king. The guard sprints through the temple with a giant demon hot on his heels. Isaac is almost out of mana after summoning the beast, leaving him with only one option. His glowing eyes flash as he prepares a final strike. A blinding column of white light erupts from his tiny body, slamming into the lich and disintegrating it on the spot. The shadow creature shrieks, burning away under a wave of what looks like pure holy radiance. The crowd is speechless. A newborn just soloed a giant shadow demon. Whispers ripple through the room that he must be a true saint, but Isaac is staring at his hands in utter horror. That was not dark energy. His new body literally converted his mana into holy power, forming an unexplained anomaly inside him. Suddenly, he realizes he has a major problem on his hands. He is completely out of mana. A terrifying thought hits him. Is this body really turning all his dark energy into holy power? Meanwhile, the captured bishop begins to shriek like a madman. He points an accusing finger at the child, calling him a heretic who invaded their holy land. The desperate bishop begs the emperor to let him perform an exorcism to expose the kid's true nature. Emperor Alexander cuts him off coldly, demanding to know how he dares accuse a saint candidate. His gaze is sharp as a blade as he warns that even the church will not protect him. Cornered, the bishop grits his teeth, realizing they will soon uncover everything. Kneeling on the floor in despair, he decides that even if he dies, he must save his family name. His eyes flash with malice. He decides he must eliminate the rival saint candidate at all costs. Suddenly, a massive golden wolf spirit roars into existence, charging straight toward the emperor and the baby. The emperor growls as the traitor finally shows his true colors. Isaac scoffs internally, preparing to unleash a counterattack of his own, but then a harsh reality suddenly hits him. He has absolutely no mana left. But just then, a stream of icy blue energy tears through the air, causing the wolf spirit to roar in pain as it is instantly frozen solid. An icy voice echoes from the shadows, demanding who dares touch a descendant of the Ashwa family. A dignified figure in fluttering blue robes steps out as the emperor gasps in surprise. It is the legendary Ashwa Knights. A silver-haired man steps forward with an overwhelming aura. This is Reli Ashwa, the family's seventh son, and he immediately points at the traitorous bishop. He orders the bishop's immediate execution. Isaac is picked up, struggling against their touch, but then he suddenly freezes. Wait, Ashwa? Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens next. Stick with me here, you are about to watch a legendary king reborn as a baby, as the knights kneel and Reli apologizes for being late. He smiled, presenting a small gift for the young master. A knight proudly showed off a miniature model of the beheaded skeleton king. Isaac was speechless, as more horrific versions followed. There was the skeleton king burning alive, then crushed by saints. So cute, the knight cooed, tearing up as he mistook the baby's utter shock for pure joy. He loves it. Look, he is crying. How am I supposed to survive this crazy family? Isaac screamed internally, sighing helplessly in the knight's arms. But then, the name clicked. Wait, Ashua. Suddenly, a flood of memories rushed back. The 45th generation saints of Ashua. Every single one of his sworn enemies carried that name. Damn it, did he really reincarnate into the saints' family? What kind of twisted karma is this? While Isaac cursed his luck, the cornered bishop pointed at the baby and screamed, Heretics, where did you get that creature? I will expose its identity. This will end the Ashua family. Reli's sword flashed, a cold, decisive strike that silenced the bishop forever. Sheathing his blade, he looked down at the corpse. Be grateful I left your head attached, courtesy of Ashua mercy. He kills people just for insults, Isaac thought. A knight quickly covered the baby's ears, saying he should only hear good things before humming a gruesome nursery rhyme to soothe him. Looking at the toy, Isaac knew they were lunatics, but they were incredibly strong. Meanwhile, Emperor Alexander approached, looking directly at Reli. It seems I owe this little boy a debt. Tell your patriarch that the imperial palace wishes to raise this child. Reli was stunned, but Isaac felt a spark of hope. Was he actually being recruited by the emperor himself? The holy nation will target the boy, Alexander explained. Can the current church protect him when the pope will definitely oppose him because of his hair? The emperor's face darkened with concern. Plus, the skeleton king seems to be hunting him. Isaac was completely dumbfounded. What? I am the Skeleton King. Why would I hunt myself? An official quickly interrupted the conversation. He has Eshua blood and must be raised by them. Relly took Isaac back, declaring they could handle the Pope or any Skeleton King. The Emperor smirked, mentioning Saint Melissa would love a reunion. Wait, pay attention here because this next name is a total disaster. Melissa. Isaac froze. She was his absolute worst nightmare. And now, he was her direct descendant. Talk about bad luck. Saints were divine weapons created to destroy him. He never even wanted to touch them, because killing one only summoned a stronger successor. And now, the absolute worst of them was his ancestor. Relly smiled, totally clueless that the baby in his arms was the ultimate enemy his family was sworn to destroy. Emperor Alexander watched in silence as the knight boasted of his house. A knight spoke up, honoring the fallen saints. I did not kill them. Isaac screamed internally, denying the false rumors. Do not worry, Relly said gently. But Isaac was not fine at all. Relly lifted the boy high, wishing he would never grow up to be like that terrible Skeleton King. The blessing felt like a literal stab to Isaac's heart as his past self haunted him. He apologized internally for his past life. Alexander pressed on, arguing the boy was a vital shield against the demon threat, especially since the Eshua family currently had no living saints. Dropping a bombshell, the Emperor noted the boy's mother disappeared a year ago. Isaac's mind reeled his mother was a saint, but Relly countered, saying Lady Melissa was alive and returning soon. Isaac gasped. His worst nightmare was still out there. Knowing how terrifyingly dangerous Melissa was, pure fear took over. Desperate, his tiny baby hand reached out and grabbed the Emperor's finger. Using every ounce of his acting skills, Isaac blinked cutely, begging to be saved. Alexander melted instantly. See, the boy wants the palace, he cheered, while Relly claimed he was just clingy. House Eshua might train saints, Alexander countered, but you are rookies at raising a baby saint. You have no experience either. Soon, their petty argument turned into a literal tug-of-war. The young master is going to rip in half. The knights panicked. I want to go to the palace, Isaac screamed inside. Suddenly, he felt a warm, soothing light radiating from the Emperor. This pure energy was his path to survival. The Emperor smiled, calling it a wise choice. But a sudden chill struck Isaac's heart. Elsewhere, a disgraced bishop knelt, begging. That thing used mana. It is a demon. An icy voice echoed, mocking the claim that gods would give divine power to a demon. With a flash of a blade, the mysterious leader executed the blasphemous bishop. Blood splattered as the cardinal wiped his blade, deciding to strike the imperial palace next. Back in his crib, Isaac shuddered. You and I both know trouble is heading his way. I will never survive the palace, Isaac realized, remembering the negotiations from a few days ago where Relly had played his ultimate trump card. Our most precious possession is the Skeleton King's body Relly had offered. Hearing this, Isaac pointed decisively at Relly, choosing Eshua instead. The iron-willed knight melted instantly as they boarded the carriage. Isaac accepted his fate. He gave up the palace to reclaim his former body and challenge the gods again. When a knight asked why the church was targeting the boy, Relly revealed a secret. A prophecy claims the saint will be adopted by a god. Isaac was stunned. If a saint became the supreme pope, they would wield power rivaling the emperor himself. The rival house monopolizing the papacy felt threatened. Suddenly, the carriage stopped as guards blocked the city gates, refusing to let them pass. Do you not recognize our emblem? Relly demanded. Relly raged, but the guard just grinned. Black fog surged as actual demons materialized. Demons? Isaac gasped in shock. I strictly forbade attacking human lands. Our king ordered us to kill all saints under the command of Lord Isaac, the Skeleton King. When did I ever say that? You absolute fools. Suddenly, blue lightning blasted a demon. You despicable holy knight, the general roared. Relly's eyes turned sharp as knives. How dare you speak such nonsense before our family of exorcists? Holy light surged as he prepared to strike. The general mocked the cowardly Skeleton King for sending subordinates to die, but the loyal horde screamed for his resurrection. An explosion blasted them, and a knight quickly shielded baby Isaac. Apologizing, the knight ran into the forest and placed Isaac inside a glowing magic barrier. Isaac touched the barrier, realizing it was high level, but it completely trapped him inside. Closing his eyes, he unlocked his magic to summon Whisper, the Observer. A shadowy, red-eyed entity materialized, overjoyed to see his great lord alive in this tiny body after so long. After teasing him about his tiny body, Whisper scanned the area. 88 demons are nearby, but the count is dropping fast. 51, 31. Relly and his knights were absolutely crushing them. Suddenly, Purple energy annihilated the remaining demons. Whisper reported 0 enemies left, but detected a massive shadow lich. The colossal monster roared, threatening anyone who dared touch his beloved king. What is wrong with him? Isaac panicked. The lich's twisted loyalty made him rage at the knights for imprisoning his glorious master inside an inferior human child, warning them to back off. Damn it. It recognized me. Relly ordered everyone to prepare for battle, while Isaac babbled, trying to command the lich to stop. The knight totally misunderstood, feeling the baby's surging magic power. Please wait, young master. We will handle this. But the lich, thrilled to hear his master's voice, roared that he was coming to his side and darted straight past the defenders. Relly froze, realizing the monster was heading straight for the baby. The lich screamed at the knights for imprisoning his master, while Isaac gloated that he finally had the creature's full attention. I cannot let my mana reserve be destroyed. Isaac babbled a command to break it, and the lich immediately shattered the magical barrier. Trust me, you and I are in for a wild ride. Let's dive into this wild story where a knight screams in despair as the young master's shield falls. Kimak pats his subordinate, praising him before telling him to rest. The confused lich froze in terror. Yak unleashed his massive power, forcing the monster to shrink and scream in desperation before completely vanishing. Eshua just stared there, totally dumbfounded. Did that baby just turn a demon into a totem? He stared at the infant sitting by the petrified hand while a knight cheered. He neutralized a demon instantly. How amazing. The entire Azure Knight squad erupted in cheers. Yis secretly knew he only used normal magic, not holy powers, while the skeptical knight commander picked up the baby. Crisis reveals true nature. The demon sensed a major threat from the young master, proving he is definitely a saint. Relly gritted his teeth, admitting that this child is incredibly special. But why did it have to be a boy? Thinking of the Skeleton King's curse, Relly clenched his fist and saluted, finally making his ultimate decision. As commander, I swear to protect young Master Isaac, the future of our family. Relly whispered, realizing he was foolish to fear the curse when this child is their salvation. He lifted Isaac with a radiant smile, promising to raise him as a great holy knight. Yak just wanted his body back, but Relly eagerly talked about going home soon. The first lesson will be cursing the Skeleton King. Yacht went rigid, hating this family. Meanwhile, their carriage entered the grand estate, showcasing immense wealth. Even the former king Yizak marveled at the luxury. He felt a flash of anger, remembering how he starved in his past life while Whisper drooled over the wealth. Yizak snapped at the spirit to shut up. Relly carried him into the legendary mansion, pointing toward the bustling training grounds. Knights frantically stab a dummy of the Skeleton King with pure hatred. While Relly smiled proudly, Yizak was horrified by this fanatical cult and ordered Whisper to scout ahead. The Shadow Scout returned in absolute shock. The entire mansion was decorated with precious mana stones. Suddenly, the carriage stopped as a butler blocked their path. Now pay attention here. Gull orders Isaac banished to the annex, forbidding him from the main building. Relly refuses to send him to that haunted ruin, but the mana stones are there. Isaac screamed internally that he had to go there. Relly growled at the butler to move, refusing to let his nephew stay in such a terrible place. While Relly promised to read him saint stories, Isaac wondered what was next. Suddenly, the fifth son looked down from the balcony with a sneer, calling Isaac a filthy bug. Gull sneered, calling his brother a bastard and ordering him to drop the child. Relly's anger flared, arguing that Isaac is of direct bloodline and shouldn't be exiled. Gull laughed, squeezing Isaac's cheek and calling him filthier than the Skeleton King. Looking at him, Isaac wondered if this guy was actually a holy priest or just a thug. Relly pulled the baby back, accusing Gull of trying to eliminate them. Isaac gritted his teeth, knowing he needed to drain this rich mansion dry before leaving. Gull chuckled, claiming the baby is cursed and attracts demons. A knight countered that it's because of his holy power. Gull scoffed, demanding the child prove his sainthood. He pointed to a withered gray tree. It was the family's divine symbol, dead from a demonic curse. If the baby is a saint, he should revive it. Relay shouted in disbelief. That tree has been dead for 70 years. Gull thought their family was ruined, but Isaac sensed the hidden demonic residue resting deep within the roots. Isaac ordered Whisper to grab the energy, launching the spirit at the tree. As Relly argued that a baby couldn't do this, the dead branches suddenly turned bright green. Brilliant light erupted as the divine tree roared back to life. Relly gasped in awe while Gull stood completely speechless at the impossible sight. It was nothing major. Yizak smirked, having Whisper drain the corruption. As the spirit burped happily, a shocked knight asked Relly what he did, but Relly was clueless. Relly stared at the baby, while Isaac lamented the waste of good mana. The knights cheered for young Master Isaac, but Gull quickly tried to play it down. I know what you're thinking, this family is a complete mess. Gall accuses Relly of using secret powers to prop up trash, making Relly absolutely furious as Isaac analyzes their collapse. Gall looks nothing like Melissa, but Relly is a male version of her. Suspiciously, Gall resembles the Pope. Gall pressed, accusing Relly of bringing a fake saint candidate. Gall whispered insults, calling the baby a half-breed deserter's child. Relly snapped, unleashing his fury and landing a devastating punch directly onto his brother's arrogant face. Yitzhak watched with amusement, knowing a divided house is easier to devour. Inside the toxic meeting hall, he sat on the table, completely bored. Hannah, the interim leader, glared at Relly, questioning why he brought the child. Gall nursed his bruised jaw while defending his mother. When Relly demanded to see the family head, Hannah coldly replied that he was out. Suddenly, the butler burst in to announce Isaac revived the divine tree. Gall shouted it was just a coincidence, while Hannah smirked, claiming their prayers worked. Demanding proof, they were shocked when Yitzhak reached out his hand. A whirlwind of pure power swept the room, forcing the elders back in sheer terror. Disguising his demonic force as holy light, Yak mocked them internally. Relly proudly declared that Isaac purified the tree instinctively, doing what the family couldn't do for 70 years. Gall slammed the table, calling him a beggar's son and fearing they would be a laughingstock. Yitzhak was just bored, while Relly confidently stood his ground. Relly declared the boy would become a saint or even the Pope, lifting Yitzhak high while promising he would destroy the skeleton king. Yitzhak froze, begging to be put down. Hannah warned Relly that he was digging his own grave, demanding they test the child in the holy artifact vault. Deep in the Black Forest, Elihu sheathed his sword. A knight reported that the vice head wanted to open the vault. Eli scowled, refusing the request because the dangerous vault kills anyone who isn't a true candidate. A powerful voice commanded them to allow it. Matriarch Melissa appeared, calling Isaac a promising sprout and ordering the vault open for all potential candidates. Smiling dangerously, Melissa declared that they would finally destroy the skeleton king. Whoever retrieves the holy artifact gets everything, including her personal, legendary secret techniques. The dangerous vault was a graveyard for failed candidates. Whisper teased the child, but Yak was thrilled, knowing his former physical body was hidden inside. Excitement bubbled within Yak. A knight informed Yitzhak that the vault was open to everyone, confidently declaring that the young master would surely win. Yak smirked, finding the chaos to be a perfect cover. Relly suddenly appeared with a grave warning, telling Isaac that captured war demons guard the vault. Expecting rank 6 demons, Yitzhak planned to use intimidation. But Relly warned there is a rank 8 demon and a rank 9 dragon, making Yitzhak freeze in disbelief. Whisper tries to comfort him but stops as Kimak starts trembling. Trust me, you and I are about to see that dragons are dangerous in a completely different way. Alright, you and I are about to watch our main character, who once fooled 70 dragons, panic as he realizes his soul might get exposed. Time for a plan. The main vault is packed with rank 8 demons and a rank 9 dragon. Since he can only take rank 6, he opts for a sneaky heist inside the annex instead. The massive door looms. Infiltrating the vault, Whisper grabs an ancient book and asks if he's okay. Yak completely freezes, staring at the terrifying title. Holy Arts, 10 Ways to Disintegrate the Skeleton King. He looks ready to be exorcised. Why didn't you teach me holy power first? He screams internally. He thinks of mind control, but Whisper warns that would destroy the entire family. Yitzhak sighs, knowing theory alone won't save him. Suddenly, Rehiwell lifts the tired baby. As Relly carries him away, a nearby knight notices and scoops up the dropped book. Relly places a hand on Yitzhak's forehead, sending a massive wave of holy power through him. Back in his crib, Yitzhak cheers, begging his uncle for more attacks while plotting his next move. He needs them gone to raid the vault, so he faceplants and pretends to sleep. Relly is completely fooled, praising what an absolute angel of a child he is. Whisper scoffs at their ignorance, but then Relly orders the knight to take the dangerous totem away. Yak freezes, watching in absolute despair as his masterpiece gets confiscated. With his mana source gone, he pivots to the mana cores. He starts climbing out of his crib, ignoring Whisper's complaints about his incredibly slow, baby-sized pace. He's got a plan. Yitzhak orders Whisper to open the door, but it slams shut, sending Yitzhak tumbling to the floor. His uncle locked it with holy magic. He wants to smash it, but Whisper warns against the noise. Now watch closely as he punches the door in absolute rage. Magic is off the table, leaving only brute force. How's he going to escape this? Suddenly, the door swings open and Yak falls face first. Standing there is an arrogant boy with a bandaged hand, looking down on him as a mere baby. Is this supposed to be my rival? Whisper growls at the insult. Shuri clenches his fist, refusing to believe a mere toddler could create a high-level totem that even a genius like himself couldn't replicate. Remembering Go Esua testing Yizak with holy light, Shuri flares with raw power. I will be the saint. You won't steal my spot, he yells, unaware a bottle of milk just rolled loose. Shuri trips over the bottle and faceplants hard. Yak laughs, realizing this brat is his uncle's son. So you were seriously gathering holy energy just to blast a baby? Perfect, found my new ride. You bastard. Yak raises his milk bottle, launching it straight at Shuri. Nice throw, master. Whisper cheers, as Isak demands the arrogant brat become his personal mount. Clutching his head in pure humiliation, Shuri erupts, throwing up a level 3 holy shield to block the bottle. Isak watches, amused by the boy's smug, boasting voice echoing in his head. Behold my genius. Shuri grins evilly, activating a massive magic circle right beneath his feet. Don't get too shocked, yet time for some real holy light. Shuri fires 2 massive blinding beams. Yusak just stares, casually treating the incoming holy energy like a tasty snack. The light hits a dark barrier and completely vanishes. Shuri freezes as his ultimate attack is effortlessly absorbed. What kind of insane defense is that? He screams in horror, while Yizak just grins, enjoying the free show. As the energy fades, Whisper emerges from the shadow, casually asking if they should execute him. Shuri blinks, realizing he is miraculously alive, though his embarrassment quickly turns into sheer rage. He tries to act tough, telling them not to scare him if they can't even fight. But a terrifying voice freezes him instantly, sending cold sweat pouring down his face. A massive shadow beast appears, roaring to protect its king. It grabs Shuri's leg as he tries to run, dropping in terror. Shuri watches as Isak gently pats the beast and climbs onto his shoulder. Okay, I know what you're thinking. A baby riding a future saint. Yep, Shihua is crying inside. But his dream of becoming the Pope just got hilariously hijacked. His master plan is ruined by an overpowered baby demanding a ride to the annex. Keep moving, human, or I'll shred you to pieces. The shadow threat looms. Trapped and weeping, Shuri can only obey. Under the pale moonlight, he carries Yizak through the garden, helplessly following the baby's bossy, chaotic directions. Left, I said left. Yizak yells, pointing aggressively. Go the right way. Shuri is sweating bullets until his legs suddenly freeze in absolute panic. He looks up, pale as a ghost. The haunted second annex? Why here? Remembering the strict warnings, Shuri panics, while Yizak just smirks at the thousands of spirits lingering inside. The abandoned building overflows with dark energy from years of bitter resentment. Yak urges him forward, and when Shuri hesitates, the shadow emerges again, telling him to shut up and move. Inside, the dark corridors are absolutely freezing. Shuri's crying echoes as Yizak scans the gloom with glowing red eyes, noting how chaotic and messy the dark energy is here. Spotting a sealed door, Whisper warns that the entire place is locked down. Terrified, Shuri begs to turn back, earning himself a sharp hair pull from Yizak. Shuri stops in front of old portraits of former family heads. Yak scoffs, warning the boy not to even dream of taking the leadership spot. That throne belongs to him. Boom. Yak hurls his milk bottle at a portrait, shattering the hidden barrier and sending Shuri flying. Shuri cries over the ancestral art, while Yak wonders why they even protected them. The barrier is gone. Master, Whisper confirms. Yak cheers and immediately forces the dazed Shuri down the newly opened hidden passage. Shuri screams that he is a complete psycho. Stop breaking stuff and dragging me into the dark. Shuri screams, but Yizak just babbles happily, charging ahead until they reach a hidden room practically overflowing with powerful magical energy. Whisper, shut the door. Yizak orders, determined to lock things down. Shuri panics and asks what he's doing, but Yizak just smirks. A brat like you doesn't need to know. The heavy door slams shut. Alone in the quiet room, blue energy begins to swirl around Yizak as he starts. Outside, Shuri desperately pounds on the door, threatening to tell. I'm telling the adults to kick you out. Shuri yells, but a chilling voice freezes him solid. A white-haired man lifts him up, demanding to know what he is doing here. An old woman roars that the annex was strictly off-limits. Since witnesses saw him carrying Yizak here, his clumsy excuse of using holy magic to carry the baby only makes him look guiltier. Sighing, the white-haired elder grabs his shoulder and tells Shuri he's gone too far, demanding to know where he locked Yizak up. Shuri screams out in absolute denial. Before he can explain, loud crashing noises erupt from inside. The elder rushes over, pressing his ear to the wood to check on the baby. Inside the darkness, Yizak's performance begins. Pitiful, Fake sobs echo from the room. They burst inside, and the old lady frets over how terrified he looks. The man picks him up, relieved that he's mostly unharmed. He looks at the baby, then turns to scold Shuri, who begs them to believe it wasn't him. As he's carried off, Yak mouths a silent, sarcastic thank you to the stunned boy. The innocent act vanishes, replaced by a menacing grin. Thanks for the meal, he sneers. Shuri clutches his head, making the adults wonder why his blood pressure is suddenly spiking. And that is where we leave it. Our demonic baby just scored a century's worth of mana, and you and I both know his next plan is going to be wild. Alright, you and I are about to watch a reincarnated king deal with some hilarious family drama. As sunlight hits the mansion, little Isaac sits calmly until Relay brings in a guest. A uniformed maid enters alongside the master. Meet Ashley, his new caretaker. Kneeling right before the tiny infant, she vows to serve young Master Isaac until her very last breath. Isaac narrows his eyes, immediately sensing a spy. To get her attention, he babbles a bit before throwing an absolute tantrum, basically screaming for her to get lost. A chilling dark aura explodes from the baby, freezing everyone in the room. As the maid panics, Isaac wonders why his new family is so insane, but Relay just smiles and offers a gift. He presents a plain-looking ring. Isaac scoffs, thinking this family must be totally broke to offer such cheap jewelry. But Ashley gasps, recognizing it as a legendary sacred treasure. Relay pats his head, confirming the elders sent it. Suddenly, Isaac's eyes flash crimson. Memories rush back. This is the exact artifact the Holy Maidens once used to seal him away. Now, watch closely because this ancient power is about to awaken. The artifact glows warm in his tiny hands, and despite only having 2 charges left, he knows he can easily recharge it. Gaul stands nearby, glaring with pure hatred. Isaac glances over, thinking that angry face confirms the ring's value. Relay turns around with a bright smile, welcoming his nephew. Gaul instantly switches gears, putting on a fake, dazzling smile. He coos about how adorable the baby is, then leans down to whisper something sinister in his ear. Isaac recoils from the sheer lunacy. Gaul is absolutely boiling inside. He had secretly sabotaged the blessing ceremony, yet the artifact still ended up with Isaac. He remembers begging the matriarch for his own son. He was coldly dismissed, told his son Shuri already had enough. Blaming a mere baby for ruining his grand scheme, Gaul steps forward to ruin Relay's moment. He mocks Relay's gift as total garbage. Turning to Isaac with a slimy grin, he asks how he could accept such trash, then opens a box showing off a stunning, expensive ring. He brags about its divine blessings while Relay freezes in embarrassment. Isaac reaches out, making Gaul smile triumphantly until a tiny hand slaps him right across the face. Disgusted by the Pope's lingering energy, Isaac snatches the box and chucks the priceless ring away. It flies through the air and splashes into the fountain, leaving Gaul screaming in horror. Honestly, I love how smug Isaac looks here. Riley is speechless that a fortune was thrown away, but our little MC proudly holds up his simple, ancient ring. Relieved and touched, Relay bursts into tears of pure joy, celebrating his loyal nephew. Meanwhile, Gaul's men are desperately splashing around in the freezing fountain trying to find the ring. Isaac laughs internally, having used magic to make that ring heavy as lead. He secretly orders a shadow guard to fetch it tonight so he can sell it for some serious cash. Later, Gaul loses his mind in his office. Screaming about his lost fortune, he collapses onto his desk, but quickly tries to cope. He reasons that the baby cannot use the Elder's ring anyway since a knight confirmed it requires 20 people to activate. Gaul plots maliciously, predicting barely 10 guests will show up to Isaac's first birthday. But the next day, the mansion is pure chaos, as massive crowds of carriages arrive. Ashley excitedly reports that 148 saint candidates and 4,000 nobles have arrived, including dukes and the emperor. Isaac just looks annoyed, wondering if the gods are lazily handing out saint titles to everyone. Rayleigh is just as shocked, assuming everyone would avoid this obvious trap. But Count Simon Regis, head of the Merchant Guild, arrives, laughing at that very idea. The entire empire is talking. Everyone heard the weaker members of the family were hosting this, which proved to them it could not be a trap. Simon adds that the family matriarch offered a massive prize, making Isaac curious. Meanwhile, Simon scoffs at the arrogant Barrett family, warning Rayleigh that trouble might be brewing. Rayleigh tries to quiet him down, but Simon loudly brags that his own son is also a saint candidate. Rayleigh nervously tells him to shut up, but Simon keeps talking until a cold voice freezes them in their tracks. Rayleigh gasps as the sinister Cardinal Barrett appears. The Cardinal sneers internally, thinking the weaklings are just trying to save face. He locks eyes with the baby in Ashley's arms, placing a hand over his heart to fake a sincere, holy blessing. He prays the boy brings glory, but Rely gets a terrible feeling. This is a trap. The candidate count spiked to 148 because the church let absolute rabble in. If these thugs run wild in the treasure vault, Isaac is in serious danger. Known for being beautiful but useless, his family is the perfect target for anyone trying to please the Pope. A secret order is issued, poison the kid's water and humiliate him. But instead of crying, Isaac happily chugs down the toxic water, looking like he just tasted a gourmet drink. The other kids stare in absolute horror as Isaac happily demands more, thinking this tiny bit of poison cannot touch him. He chucks the empty bottle at Shuri. The conspirators panic, wondering why he does not have diarrhea yet. Shuri covers his face, utterly mortified by the kid's endless drinking. He kicks the bottle away, asking if the kid is possessed. Isaac offers him a clean bottle, which Shuri slaps away. Not realizing Isaac is disappointed, there is no poison inside. Isaac clings to Shuri's leg, wailing for more toxic water. A panicked blonde kid confesses it was actually holy poison. Enraged, Isaac literally floats into the air, unleashing a wave of dark energy. The kids whisper in shock, wondering if he is a god. Suddenly, a mysterious white-haired boy appears. It is Kina Barrett. While the crowd wonders why the pontiff's high-ranking house is here, Isaac calmly downs another bottle of poison, wondering if this newcomer is his rival. Kina sneers, reminding everyone that the treasure vault belongs to his family anyway, so it is only natural for him to take what is his. As Kina turns to leave, the crowd stands stunned. Isaac just smirks. Suddenly, an incredibly bright golden holy aura erupts directly from the arrogant boy. His pressure easily surpasses even high-ranking bishops. Disgusted by the cheap showmanship, Isaac watches as Kina turns around and calls everyone else completely useless. Kina acts heroic, asking why they would bully a baby. He assumes the toddler cannot possibly survive poison on his own, then kneels before him. Thinking Isaac's family is genetically dumb, he fakes a sweet smile and unleashes his healing light. As the crowd gasps in awe, Isaac just watches him with absolute indifference. Kina smugly wraps the baby in his holy glow. But in a sudden move, Isaac just blows a tiny puff of air right into his face. The golden holy light instantly vanishes. Kina stares in horror at the grinning baby, realizing his sacred energy was completely shattered. A terrifying realization hits him. Could this baby actually be stronger than me? As Shuri runs over to protect Isaac, an enraged Kina demands to know why they dare defy him. Offended by Shuri's glare, Kina grabs him by the collar, lifting him completely off the ground. He sneers, asking if Shuri seriously thinks he can protect anyone. Kina fakes being nice, drops Shuri, and walks away with a sarcastic wave. And that is where we leave it. You and I know this rivalry is just getting started. Alright, you and I are about to dive into one of the wildest dungeon runs ever, starting with this arrogant fool claiming the Skeleton King's remains. Shuri glares at the retreating jerk, then grabs Kim in pure desperation, asking why he is doing this. The reward for bringing back that Skeleton King? A legendary ultimate skill. Those words cut deep into Kim's mind. As Shuri collapses, muttering a girl's name, Kim gnashes his teeth in absolute fury. What on earth are they doing with his original body? Later, while the other candidates whisper about the chaos, Kim sits alone, plotting. He spent hundreds of years cultivating mana. Reaching rank 10 again is child's play. But he frowns. How can he slip away under everyone's watchful eyes? His crimson eyes flash with absolute resolve. Screw it. He will crush anyone in his way. Suddenly, the elder calls everyone to gather. They are about to depart, so they must listen to the history. Another boring lecture. Kim quietly slips away. She spots him and yells, but a massive explosion suddenly cuts him off. She panics, pointing at the dust. Kim has blasted off like literal lightning, thrilled to test his new holy art. The elder screams in horror, warning that the path is strictly forbidden. Step there, and the deadly traps will trigger. Kim does not care. The elder roars to stop him, giving chase in vain while the kids scatter. Meanwhile, at the mansion, a woman worries. She hopes the young master is safe. Next to her, a silver-haired man stays completely stone-faced. Suddenly, a magic orb flares to life, announcing they have successfully connected to the treasure vault. The broadcast will follow the beast trailing the third-place kid. The silver-haired man leans in as the announcer declares the gate to the first room is officially open. Currently, in third place is Aeon Aegis, making his father cheer. In second place is Shuri. His dad blinks, then shouts with pride, but the commentator squints closer at the magic projection. The presenter stares at the screen in utter disbelief. Standing in first place, it is Isaac. The silver-haired man and the woman freeze as Isaac's name echoes through the room. The kid charges forward like a wild hurricane. Now, pay attention here, because this is where everything goes south. He triggers a trap, and a blast of energy strikes the helpless elder. Absolute chaos erupts as screaming kids run for their lives. She roars at the troublemaker, calling him a complete lunatic for charging in and ruining the entire trial. Survival was already hard enough without dodging lethal defense traps. Completely ignoring him, Kim figures this is the gateway to Chapter 2, casually triggering even more defense mechanisms. His shadow minion whispers a congratulations, explaining that absorbing the mana core allowed it to level up. Kim silently plans to exploit it even more, ordering it to capture the target. In the crowd, a boy mutters that he now understands why the Saints are so powerful. His friend looks completely lost. Suddenly, she is yanked straight up into the air. People whisper, wondering if the kid is cheating to fly. She curses silently, screaming that he is being carried against his will as the shadow holds him in a tight grip. The shadow drops Shuri face first in front of Kim, announcing the capture. Groaning in pain, Shuri warns the madmen to stop, pointing out they have reached the dangerous second room. One wrong move here means death. Kim cuts him off, telling him to skip the useless rambling and explain the second room. Stepping inside, Shuri gasps and warns him never to attack. He warns that waiting 3 minutes for them to vanish is the only way, as others have already died. Kim scoffs, thinking a test of patience is incredibly cliché. Kim wanders off, mockingly replying in a cute voice that waiting 3 minutes is easy. He confidently mutters that as long as he does not attack, everything will be fine. Glowing words welcome them to the Chamber of Silence, advising them that patience leads to the light. Kim stands there, listening to the system proclamation with a bored look. While others rush ahead, Kina and his crew stay back. You and I know exactly what he is doing, letting others trigger the traps first. Clever, but will it work? He plans to let the sacrificial lambs go first, expecting the eager ones to get stuck. Suddenly, Kina points as a blinding light erupts, startling a nearby boy. Kina announces the trial has begun as yellow light bursts from the first trap. An echoing voice warns them to stay strong, while Kim and a candidate exchange glances. A glowing entity appears, preaching patience. One furious candidate charges, vaporizing the figure instantly, only for his own body to crumble into dust amidst horrified screams from the crowd. As another boy collapses in terror, massive, blood-soaked tentacles erupt from the ground. Kim grimaces, wondering how he is supposed to hold back when facing such ugly divine entities. The system cold voice announces their failure for lacking patience. Clenching his fist, Kim decides rules are meant to be broken, even if they must face divine wrath. The giant golem's supervisor roars, leaving the kids weeping in terror. But as Kim gathers his magic, violent red lightning erupts, striking the massive gatekeeper with immense force. The onlookers gasp as the lightning pierces right through the stone golem's core. To everyone's absolute shock, the massive supervisor crumbles into a pile of harmless rubble. Kim scoffs at its weak rank 8 status. He knows this golem was crafted by his former 14 demon generals. He wonders if the Eshwa family owns it now. Kim walks away, completely ignoring the kids calling out to him. Suddenly, the bushes part as a hostile group led by Nigel Seffet emerges, blocking their path. Nigel sneers, thanking them for clearing the gatekeeper before ordering them to get lost. He claims the second room for himself, while Kim evaluates them with cold indifference. Nigel mocks the Eshwa family for being cowards, pointing at Kim's terrified companion. Ignoring the boys stammering, Nigel turns to his crew to confirm they saw Kim dodge the traps. Spying a ring around Kim's neck, Nigel snatches the relic, believing it is the key to bypass the traps. Kim's companion watches, knowing Nigel is dead wrong. The companion observes Kim's eerie calmness with deep suspicion. This kid never lets anyone steal from him. Nigel sneers, ordering them to back off with a sinister smile. Nigel declares the Skeleton King's remains belong to his family and charges forward. Instantly, a blinding flash erupts, engulfing the vanguard in a sea of roaring flames and agonizing screams. Through the dying smoke, Kim stands smiling. He intentionally lured them into the trap. Hoisting his companion over his shoulder, he calmly steps over the charred bodies to enter. He thanks them for the sacrifice as he looks back at the ashes. But he frowns when he realizes another group is trailing him. Why are they still following? A purple-eyed boy whispers that Kim is from the House of Saints. Kim scowls, wanting none of their worship, while Shuri desperately warns them in his head to run. The monster carrying him on his shoulder is far scarier than any demon. Shuri resorts to desperate flattery, calling Kim the true saint, just as Paris, Julius, the second prince, steps forward. Kim finds this development quite useful. As they arrive, a massive gate looms before them. A pulsing orb of light appears, and a majestic winged figure emerges to welcome the candidates. They are welcomed to the third room, the Chamber of Contemplation, where they must show courage. The crowd cheers, realizing they should have followed Kim instead of Nigel. The supervisor demands they defeat them to pass. Staring at the gatekeeper, Kim smirks as he recognizes it. And trust me, you and I are about to see some serious action. All right. You and I are diving right back into the madness of this trial as Shuri finally uncovers the truth that gatekeepers are dirty liars. The second silent chamber showed zero restraint, leading to this contemplation room. Yak realizes the answers are hidden in the past, even as She-Hole warns everyone not to attack. Instead, Kim Yak points at the statues, ordering his move. Shuri tries to stay calm, hoping the legendary Kim family lineage is finally starting to awaken. But Shuri misses the wicked grin and dangerous energy in Kim's hand. Kim throws the orb, hitting a gatekeeper. Suddenly, the monster roars with dark power, declaring failure before unleashing a massive bloody slash. Screams echo as kids get blasted. Kim just sits casually on another boy's back, ignoring their cries. Horror sets in as Shuri realizes what he did. Shuri yells at the crazy bastard, but Kim only smiles. Suddenly, the gatekeepers transform into ugly demonic puppets, laughing at the students and promising to teach these brats a brutal lesson. Kim laughs like a maniac while his human mount despairs. A massive explosion engulfs everything in flames, leaving survivors searching for the others. Turns out, Kim is sitting safely on Shuri's head, hidden by a level 6 invisibility spell. Prince Paris Julius is there too, thanking Kim for keeping him safe from the blast. Kim shrugs it off. Grateful, the prince hands over a shiny silver ring. Paris wonders if fighting demons is always this tough. While Kim watches coldly, thinking he got a holy treasure, Paris offers his thanks. But the ring glows gold, brutally draining his divine energy instead. Paris screams while Kim laughs. Thrilled with his prey, his lackey praises his genius, but Shuri looks up at the monster on his back in complete horror, asking where he found it. Elsewhere, a desperate candidate calls for holy defense. A brave youth steps up with a shining light barrier, but the demonic supervisor with a giant scythe charges to punish them. The young man fires a blast of holy light, but the demon easily deflects it, blowing him back. His shocked friend screams in panic, wondering what went wrong as he lies completely still. While the stolen ring glows red, the supervisor tosses another candidate aside. Suddenly, the creepy puppet stops, looking around for the missing kids. Now, watch closely here. Kim's shadow reports they have drained all the holy power, leaving the weaklings behind. Kim just laughs, knowing the puppet only stops when they fall. The shadow claims they are almost done, but suddenly freezes as a brilliant golden orb appears. A massive pillar of light erupts, completely blasting all the shadow monsters away. Through the thick smoke, a white-haired, golden-eyed boy wrapped in holy fire steps forward. Isaac Keena Barrett has arrived. Nigel's sweat drops, stunned by the kid's genius. Giant wings of holy light unfurl from Isaac's back to summon his spirit. Nigel screams, calling this power absurd. Isaac confronts Kim Yusak, who returned to his normal form. Isaac sneers, asking if he defeated a demon or just lured the innocent kids into another trap. As Kim Yusak smiles slyly, the rescued candidates defend him, shouting that he did everything for them. It is like they are all suffering from Stockholm Syndrome. Isaac scoffs, asking how these candidates can even call themselves saints. A black-haired kid snaps back, pointing out that Isaac only hid in the back. The group rallies around Kim Yak, declaring he deserves to be a saint. Shihua tries to warn them, shouting that this demonic child is actually draining their power, but survivors whisper that they would be dead without him. Suddenly, everyone looks up in terror as a massive fireball shakes the earth. At the entrance of the third room, the fireball booms. It congratulates them on surviving, revealing itself as the final guardian of the treasure vault. The guardian offers a choice: take the current treasure and leave, or face a trial to enter the third room. Isaac Barrett remains completely calm. The guardian warns that entering the third room holds greater treasure, but failing means death. The candidates freeze, paralyzed with absolute terror. Only Kim Yusak is unfazed. His shadow senses dragon mana, confirming the threat is real, but a brave candidate shouts that he is still going. They choose the third room. But I know what you are thinking. They are walking straight into a trap as a blinding light sweeps them away. As the light fades, the dizzy kids groan. Kimok chuckles while a colossal stone statue appears. The guardian commands them to worship. The voice explains it is the cardinal, and only those showing reverence can pass. The candidates think it is easy, just kneel and pray. But Kim Yak grits his teeth. Memories of his worst enemy flash back. He refuses to kneel before this bastard. Still, another boy quickly kneels, praying to his lord. The statue lets him pass, giving the others hope. But Shuri freezes, feeling a terrifying, murderous intent coming from the boy riding on his shoulder. While the others urge them to pray, Kim Yasak kicks Shuri in the stomach. As Shuri falls, Yak clings to his leg, stubbornly dragging himself forward. Meanwhile, Isaac Barrett kneels with perfect posture, radiating holy light to show the proper way to worship. The inspired crowd cheers and joins him. Suddenly, an invisible force crushes a trembling boy down. Others panic, frantically praying before the stone statue while the giant puppet seems to notice them. Someone calls out, asking Kim Yasak why he is not kneeling. Yak just sneers internally, thinking only an idiot would bow. The crowd whispers in confusion. Shihua demands he pray to avoid bringing shame to their family. Isaac smirks, realizing this faithless display will disqualify him and eliminate a major rival. Isaac glares back, choosing death over kneeling to this thing. The silent statue responds by releasing a terrifying, crushing pressure that suffocates the room. Though trembling, Yizak refuses to back down. Dark energy erupts from the stone as a shadow screams that all who disrespect must die. Isaac yells at him to just do it, but Yak curses the statue, unleashing his shadow spirit, which begs him to stop this dangerous madness. Yak destroys the shadow in a rage. Suddenly, bright light pierces the dark, and a voice announces that he has passed. Isaac Barrett gasps in utter shock, demanding to know how he passed without praying. The statue replies that this child is the only one who showed true faith in God. As Yizak stands dazed, the statue asks if they understand. They did not kneel before God, but a statue. True faith forbids bowing to mere idols. The candidates freeze as the realization hits them. The statue praises the child who, even when facing death, refused to compromise his faith. Isaac refuses to accept a baby outsmarted him, but as Yizak smugly nods, "Trust me, you and I are going to love what happens next." All right, you and I are stepping right into the middle of a massive scandal. Kina demands to see his holy mark, causing Yak to flinch. The crowd is whispering a candidate with no mark. Yak just smirks, loving the drama. He is the only one lacking it. Ken pressures him to yield. But then, the ancient statue echoes with a shocking excuse. He is merely a child, and a little child does not need a mark yet. That lame excuse shocks everyone, even Yasak. Absurd, Kina roars, while the other candidates start complaining. If that kid gets to pass, we should too. The statue asks if they really want to enter the third chamber. Silence falls upon the room. Very well, the statue declares, you may all enter. Everyone cheers except a suspicious Kina. Why make it this easy? Suddenly, the statue's tone turns incredibly sinister. If you want to dive into the fire like moths, go ahead. Massive dark energy surges as the giant stone gates grind open to reveal a pitch-black abyss. The candidates freeze in pure horror. The suffocating magical pressure slams down, robbing them of their breath. Can you feel the power of the Skeleton King? The statue boons. Weak candidates drop like flies, completely crushed by the sheer weight. They wonder what insane magic this is, but Kim Yak just grins. His magical brooch hums, happily absorbing all that dark force. He laughs, instantly recognizing his own power. That is his former body. My Skeleton King body is right behind that gate. He stares into the abyss, never expecting to see his physical remains again after blowing himself up in the divine realm. But suddenly, a massive surge of mana makes him panic. A white-haired candidate points directly at Kim. Look at this boy proving his faith with that brave, heroic face, he says. Meanwhile, Sri Ashua just curses under his breath. Brave? No way. That kid has completely lost his mind. Suddenly, a giant glowing fireball manifests in the air, its booming voice warning them. It is not too late. If you cannot laugh at death like him, leave now. Damn it, how are we supposed to survive this pressure? A boy screams. Terrified, others beg to turn back before they die. But the arrogant white-haired boy steps right up. Now pay attention, because this crazy guy decides to reject the easy treasures. He tells everyone they are going straight to the third chamber, then looks at the fireball and activates every single trap. Shuri is completely speechless at his madness. The fire entity chuckles, asking if that is really what they want. Smiling shrewdly, the boy notes that even the legendary genius Melissa failed to retrieve the king's remains. So, you must be the safety measure she left behind, he concludes. A saint would never let kids die. His eyes narrow as he smirks, claiming he refuses to take the easy way out. He demands the third chamber be set to its ultimate difficulty. Watching from the side, another boy sighs, thinking this guy is totally nuts. The gatekeeper agrees to grant his suicidal wish. Apparently, this extreme test will help locate the true saint faster. The white-haired kid smirks, ignoring another terrified candidate who screams at him for dragging everyone into this deadly mess. A colossal leg descends through the heavy mist. Right in the middle, a skeletal hand rests on a pedestal, radiating pure dark magic. The candidates collapse, shrieking under the crushing weight. Kim Yasak is actually thrilled, finding it just like the demon realm. His familiar whispers in awe, confirming that skeletal hand belongs to his noble body. Yasak burst out laughing. He admires his own beautiful hand, while Shrihua stares in absolute shock. He wonders if this massive energy is coming from just one hand, but Yasak secretly scoffs at his ignorance. That power is actually just coming from his thumb. He wonders if this is the only real piece here. Suddenly, the skeletal hand releases another terrifying blast, crushing everyone. A massive tiger-like demon rises from the shadows, making the candidates scream. They thought the second chamber guardian was the only threat, but Kim Yak looks down, reminding them they asked for no safety nets. The guardian demon stomps furiously, roaring at them for coveting his king's body. Shriya points a trembling finger at the white-haired boy, blaming him for this disaster and demanding a solution. The white-haired boy grabs Shri's hand, telling him to trust his plan. Smirking, he recognizes this beast as one of the 14 demon elites personally trained by the Skeleton King before being captured by the church. Confronting the beast, he declares he prepared a special sacred art for this. His eyes glow with holy energy as he claims the ultimate prize. You and I both know things never go this smoothly, right? True enough, as the giant demon Neil buckles under the holy light, the white-haired boy thinks he has won. But his eyes flash with greed. He only needs the remains now. But the colossal demon struggles back to its feet, bloodshot eyes locking onto him. Are you the one trying to steal my master's body? It growls. Outside, anxious nobles led by a blonde man worry about losing contact with their magical familiars. Suddenly, a breathless messenger runs up, waving a report and shouting that things have gone horribly wrong. The demon in the third chamber has been completely unsealed. Reli Eshua and his allies freeze in shock as a terrified aide asks if that beast is indeed one of the 14 elites. Cold sweat drips down Reli's face. What is happening in there? Everyone is in grave danger. A panicked guard reports that the elders bypassed the traps and vanished, leaving the children completely defenseless. They can't survive a demon elite. We have to abort the ritual now, another guard yells. But as he rushes the entrance, a blinding magic barrier materializes and slams him backward. A blinding flash erupts from inside, fueling Reli's panic. Gulshawa watches nervously, wondering if the vault is opening, as an intense holy light completely envelopes the massive stone gate. A knight warns that demonic energy could escape, but an elder cuts him off, realizing he cannot sense any evil power. Another elder turns to Cardinal Harry, announcing they actually defeated the elite. Kina did it. A guard stammers to Reli that one of the kids pulled off a miracle. The crowd starts whispering, convinced it must be Kina Barrett, the genius with the noble papal bloodline. Followers swarm Cardinal Harry with congratulations, praising his favorite candidate. Harry fakes smiles, claiming Kina simply worked hard, but his eyes gleam with dark ambition. You fools. He thinks that legendary body belongs to me. You will all bow down. Suddenly, cheers erupt as someone points out that the children are finally returning. Harry turns confidently, while Gold turns pale, seeing Yasak and Shuri. The exhausted kids emerge from the darkness. Though injured, they are mostly fine, but some survivors whisper in extreme anxiety. Where are the kids from the third chamber? Did something happen to them? Reli steps forward grimly, just as more cheers erupt when the final group stumbles out, exhausted but alive. Panicked parents rush forward. Ayan's father grabs his trembling son, asking if he is okay, while Gol and Henna quickly push through the crowd to reach a battered Shuri. Amidst the happy reunions, Reli freezes. He frantically scans the crowd, rushing over to ask where Isaac is. But suddenly, Cardinal Harry's powerful voice booms out, calling for Kina. Reli whips around to see Harry confront Kina with sharp eyes, demanding to know what is in his hand. As a terrified Kina stammers, Harry roars, asking who permitted him to bring that out, but a flash cuts him off. Everyone freezes, looking up as a cleric points to the sky. A giant golden wolf materializes in midair, and clamped right inside its massive jaws is none other than Kim Yasak. Reli lunges forward, but a knight restrains him. Yasak shows zero fear, wearing a smug smile as the wolf lands and bolts away. Reli and the others chase after them, screaming his name. An aide stammers that the wolf is actually a young sacred dragon, the legendary guardian of the vault. Reli stops dazed, realizing she is right that divine energy belongs to a holy dragon. A strange gnawing sound breaks the silence. Yasak is sitting nearby, happily sucking on something. A knight turns pale, pointing it out to the elder. It is the Skeleton King's remains. Why is that in your mouth? And trust me, you and I just witnessed the ultimate disrespect. A priest gasps, while Cardinal Harry glares at Kina, demanding if he gave the corpse to that kid. Kina just masks his panic with sheer arrogance. Let's dive into this wild scene where Relly seethes with rage while the dragon roars. He calls everyone fools because the kid brought the corpse out, leaving Kina frozen. Ken remembers the treasury in absolute horror. How could his golden holy magic fail? A massive guardian demon towered over them like trash, paralyzing the candidates with its terrifying aura as it attacked. Demonic energy blasted them back. When Kina woke up under the rubble, she saw a glowing blue holy barrier protecting them. It was not Ken's power, this blue magic belonged to the Eshua baby. Calling them filthy priests, the demon lunges to protect the Skeleton King's corpse, but Isaac blocks the strike with a fist of blazing blue fire, standing his ground against the beast. Isaac unleashes an explosion of energy, demanding if the beast recognizes its master. Meanwhile, Relly questions why they broke the seal, since 14 elite demons are far too much for kids. The dragon smirks, pointing a massive claw directly at Kina, claiming the white-haired kid ordered it. The other candidates scream in anger, accusing Kina of forcing them in and nearly killing everyone. Everyone glares at Kina, the Pope's child, who seethes in defeat. Relly smiles proudly at young Isaac, while a group of greedy elders surround the baby, trying to steal the bone. An elder reaches out, but Isaac smacks him away. Stumbling back shocked, the elder wonders how a baby has such strength, while Isaac greedily absorbs the delicious manna right in front of them. An elder whispers that the matriarch will be thrilled with Isaac's success. With a sinister grin, he plots to use a tracking spell on the bone to hunt down the Skeleton King's soul. Kim Yu-sak freezes with a bone in his mouth. Shocked, he finally realizes why they wanted his original body so badly. Suddenly, the beaming elders stretch their hands out to grab it. As greedy hands claw at him, the baby panics, thinking they have lost their minds. To settle a 150-year-old grudge, the elder reaches out, but Isaac swallows the bone whole. A loud burp echoes, freezing the room. He clutches his stomach as the terrified elders point trembling fingers. Taking his chance, the young holy dragon snatches his master and escapes into the sky. Meanwhile, in a quiet hall, masked figures search frantically, but they are disappointed to find nothing at all. While the mages slump in defeat, Kim Yu-sak watches them with a smirk, knowing they can search all day and find absolutely nothing. His mind drifts back to the roaring Skeleton King. The massive guardian demon had trembled under his incredible power, shocked to realize its master had returned. It wept, knowing the world did not end with his death, and vowed to serve him again. The memory fades as Kina screams in pure rage, wishing the mysterious child had stayed to talk since she still has so many unanswered questions. Isaac decides to investigate the rumor of the papal palace capturing them later. But as he drinks his baby bottle, Relly suddenly screams, begging the child to take a poop. The shadow spirit next to the baby laughs hysterically. Ignoring the cackling, Relly frantically demands stronger laxatives, making the child vow to destroy this entire family. A trembling elder warns that the matriarch might disembowel young Isaac if she finds out. Relly tries to calm him down, but the elder panics, remembering she once cut her own son open. Relly freezes in terror. Meanwhile, the baby remembers Melissa went on a pilgrimage and hopes to absorb the manna and escape before she returns. Suddenly, a messenger appears with urgent news. The matriarch has returned early. Relly gasps in shock, wondering why she is back so soon. The baby gnashes his teeth in frustration, fearing she is here for him. Clutching his stomach filled with raw energy, he worries Melissa will slice him open. But instead of the terrifying matriarch, an astonished voice gasps at a mountain of sparkling gifts. A bewildered elder points out that all these presents are actually for Isaac. Relly sighs in deep relief, while a brown-haired man chuckles and calls him a complete coward. It was only a message saying she is on her way. As Isaac groans, a knight enters to announce that the papal palace has sent a tribute, which the elders instantly dismiss. Although the knight warns that the envoy is close, the man has already walked in. He claims the Pope is concerned and brings a holy tribute as a formal apology. Now, pay attention to this shiny box. As the envoy opens it, a dazzling light blinds everyone in the room, revealing a grand gift meant for young Master Isaac, the legendary Triple Crown. While the elders gasp, the shadow spirit whispers to a confused Isaac that it is just a cheap metal toy with a Pope emblem. Meanwhile, the envoy presents it to Relly. Isaac wonders why his gift is being handed to his uncle instead of him. Relly narrows his eyes in suspicion, asking if the Pope truly ordered the medal to be given to him. The envoy smiles sinisterly and nods. Enraged, an elder grabs his collar and roars, demanding how he dares to give the baby's medal to someone else, calling him insane. As the baby realizes the deadly insult behind the gesture, the envoy keeps a fake smile, telling them not to misunderstand the Holy Father's good intentions. The elder screams, pointing at the sunflower metal traditionally used for dead soldiers. The baby realizes the crazy pope wants him dead, mocking their family curse with this trash. The elder spits in anger, but Gaul steps in, begging him to calm down. Gaul tries desperately to defuse the situation before it triggers a war that ruins their entire family. A rival noble gloats silently, happy that the insulting gift will keep Relly and the brat in their place. Gaul turns back to his brother to resolve the issue. You and I both saw this tension building, but watch how Isaac reacts. Suddenly, the box in the envoy's hands erupts into a massive wave of blazing holy fire. Screaming, the envoy drops the box. Gaul watches in horror as a massive orb of fire forms, while the trembling envoy stammers, asking who dared to set the metal ablaze. A tiny hand of flame appears in the air. Isaac smiles mischievously as he controls the heat. The furious envoy screams that this is treason, but an elder laughs it off. Mocking him, the elder asks if he is truly blaming a baby. Trying to stay calm, the envoy offers to take the ruined gift back, but Relly cuts him off coldly. Relly shows him the melted junk. Pale and trembling, the envoy begs for it back, claiming he brought the wrong item. But it is too late as emerald flames consume him. Screams echo through the hall. Oblivious, the elders happily pinch the baby's cheeks, while Isaac silently swears to burn them all to a crisp if they do not let go. The charred envoy flees in terror to the sound of laughing elders. Cheering Isaac for getting rid of the trash, they turn to Relly to praise his brilliant magic. Congratulating Relly for his incredible holy fire, they pat his shoulder. Relly blinks, completely confused, as they insist he must have been the one protecting the baby. Relly asks if the elders did it. The three of them freeze, realizing none of them cast the spell. Slowly, their terrified eyes lock onto the baby. The spell was cast using a secret skill record he stole from the vault. Though his current magic is weaker than his Skeleton King days, it still gets the job done. The elders stare in absolute shock. Since Isaac's mother has no fire powers, a long-bearded elder roars that this child has achieved an entirely different level of talent. And that's where we leave it for now. Trust me, you and I are going to see some incredible things once this legendary baby shows his true power. Stick with me, we are diving straight into a wild fantasy drama where a bearded elder demands to see a sacred metal. The knight opens the box and hesitates because it is empty. Relly calmly admits he just threw it away. Relly claims the elders told him to discard it, prompting a furious order to find it immediately. Internally, Relly is laughing. The insane truth is that a literal baby melted the Pope's fire-resistant metal. Relly decides he cannot let the family head find out. With a wicked smile, he realizes that without proof, it is just a rumor. Days later, black cloaks flutter in the cold western wind. The family head, Eli Ashua, leads his troops as they glide across the water toward the mansion. He tells them to stay focused, as the massive estate looms in the distance ahead of them. Inside, the elders slump in total despair, while our baby main character sits amidst a mountain of empty milk bottles. He pats his belly, wondering why the Skeleton King's body will not come out. Consuming hundreds of laxative bottles and sylvan fruits only produced a happy burp. Still, he smirks. Boosting his connection with divine beasts is crucial if he wants to crush the gods and the Pope. Suddenly, a giant energy tail sweeps past, confirming the family possesses a divine beast. The guardian beast, Terran Bloom, manifests in a blinding stream of holy light, making the baby break into a cold sweat. Eli Ashua suddenly bursts into the room. As the elders bow in respect, the baby closely watches the newcomer. So this is the family head, his own grandfather. He senses a strangely familiar energy radiating from him. Relly begs his father, arguing that cutting open Isaac will not do any good. But Eli completely ignores his son. He points a finger at the baby, eyes blazing, and coldly orders them to burn him. Relly cries out that the baby is far too young to be burned. Surprisingly, another noble agrees, saying that such a reward is way too much for a mere infant. Hearing this, Isaac blinks in confusion. Wait, burning someone is a reward? Relly frantically begs for more time, suggesting they disembowel or drown the child instead. Listening to this, our baby main character realizes his new family is completely insane. Now pay attention here, this is where the truth comes out. The temple's fire and water are actually sacred techniques used to raise saints, meaning this brutal punishment is secretly a massive blessing. Gaul claims Isaac could not defeat the demon, but Relly argues the holy dragon confirmed it. When Gaul dismisses the dragon, Relly reveals his ultimate trump card. Relly explains that Isaac burned the Pope's sacred metal, but Gaul claims it is just a conspiracy with no proof. Suddenly, Ele holds up a melted golden object, asking if this is the metal they mean. It is the sacred gold, a divine relic blessed by the Pope himself. Even Isaac is stunned, recalling how tough it was to melt it down when he was still the legendary Skeleton King. Isaac wonders if reincarnation made him stronger, while Gaul stammers, asking how Eli found it. Eli calmly reveals he retrieved it from the lake. Relly triumphantly points out that the boy burned the Pope's holy symbol. Excitedly, an elder chimes in that this power will give their family the ultimate advantage. Since the baby can resist the Skeleton King's fire, he was clearly born to hunt him down. As they discuss the heavy losses caused by the Skeleton King, Isaac is totally bewildered. Suddenly, a voice echoes in his mind, warning him that someone has been impersonating him for the last 70 years. A panicked knight bursts in, reporting that the Skeleton King has invaded the mansion to spread a curse. Isaac is dumbfounded as the knight claims this impostor vowed to wipe out their sacred bloodline. Isaac calculates the timeline. Since he died a century ago, this 70-year-old impostor is definitely a fake. He smirks, thinking a minor curse is child's play, until the knight lists the terrifying symptoms: baldness. Isaac gnashes his teeth, absolutely furious at this fake Skeleton King for giving him such a humiliating reputation. Meanwhile, Eli fixes a sharp gaze on the baby, noting his red eyes must mean he is cursed. Eli rejects the standard purification methods, declaring fire and water are far too weak. He shocks the room by deciding to bestow a Holy Spirit upon the child, making Isaac's eyes go wide. A Holy Spirit is the ultimate shortcut to godlike power, something even the gods themselves covet. Isaac grins inwardly at this jackpot, planning to use it to beat up those arrogant gods. Suddenly, Gaul rushes forward. "I know what you were thinking, this kid is getting way too lucky, right?" Gaul definitely thinks so, furiously arguing that the baby has done nothing to deserve this except anger the powerful papal family. Eli cuts him off coldly, asking Gaul what he did when the enemy sent them a humiliating gift. As Gaul freezes, the family head roars with blazing eyes, reminding everyone that they trespassed on actual land. Yet Gaul let them walk away and is now defending them. Ellie's gaze sharpens as he demands to know why Gaul is trying to strip away the baby's lifeline, noting that even wild beasts protect their young. The Asura family protects its own. While Isaac gloats, Eli declares that this tiny baby was the only one to defend their pride. Utterly defeated by these words, Gaul collapses to the floor. Eli orders everyone to gather at the main building, announcing a grand ceremony to bestow a blessing upon Isaac. Days later, a concerned Relly hurries after his father to ask about his true intentions. He asks if Eli is really just giving the child a Holy Spirit. Eli stops, explaining that using the temple's raw fire or water to cleanse the Skeleton King's curse would completely destroy the boy. The standard purification is too intense and would prevent Isaac from ever learning advanced exorcism, capping his growth. Instead, Eli decided to let the baby choose between fire, water, and the Holy Spirit. A family member sneers, realizing this is a test. 3 glowing energy orbs hover before the baby as Eli commands him to choose. Relly holds his breath as fire, water, and spirit wait. Relly silently prays for the child to choose the white orb. The room falls dead silent as Isaac reaches out, but to everyone's absolute shock, he grabs the fiery red orb and cheers happily. The scoffer tells his companion that reaching level 4 is still enough to bring glory to the family. However, a sudden, blinding flash of light cuts his words short. The fire orb in Isaac's tiny hand cracks open, unleashing a violent surge of holy fire. As the elders cry out in absolute terror, a graceful, mysterious figure emerges from the heart of the inferno. Relly is completely stunned to see such a high-level spirit. The sheer force of the summoning even pushes back the powerful patriarch Eli. When Gaul panics, Eli coldly tells him to shut up. Eli calmly explains he never said there was only one spirit, since their family relies on water but the boy used fire to melt the sacred gold. Eli set a clever trap, and Isaac chose correctly. The summoned fire spirit, Shali, explodes in pure rage at Eli, demanding to know how he dared drag a king-tier spirit into the mortal realm. Her crushing aura immediately drops the elders to their knees. A wave of intense killing, intent, and wild flames sweeps through the room, forcing the elders to scream for defense spells. Gaul panics, asking his father if he plans to burn down their entire domain. Eli calmly points a finger at the baby and reveals that he was not the summoner the child was. As Gaul freezes in disbelief, Eli smiles in amusement while Isaac breaks out in a cold sweat. Isaac realizes he might actually die here as the majestic fire spirit hovers over the chaos. He panics, wondering how on earth his simple attempt to summon a mid-tier spirit resulted in a king tier. A wild idea strikes him, but before he can act, his shadow companion recognizes the spirit's magic-resistant flames. This unique fire has the incredible ability to transform raw mana into pure holy power. His companion points out how useful this is, but Isaac nervously wonders how he can force such a powerful being to obey. A king-tier spirit means direct ties to the heavenly divine realm. An elder warns that this is the exact chaotic spirit the gods themselves abandoned. Li casually strokes his chin, noting how petty the gods were for rejecting her, which only angers the spirit further. Shally blasts the elder with fire before turning her wrath on Ile. Ile quickly points to the baby, claiming the infant is the true summoner, leaving Isaac to put on a helpless, clumsy grin. Shally roars, accusing them of sacrificing a baby to summon her. As Isaac acts cute to play innocent, you and I both know this kid is an absolute master at pulling off crazy stunts. You and I are about to dive into the wildest story. The fire spirit, Shalik, growled in anger, planning to test this baby. If he really is my summoner, he needs to survive this next attack. A massive fireball shot straight toward baby Isaac. Ellie screamed, desperately reaching out to save him. Shalik just smirked, thinking she had won. But as the smoke cleared, Isaac was just sitting there, happily babbling without a single scratch. See, Eli declared. Now you have no choice but to believe us. Accept the contract or face the penalty, Eli warned. The spirit Shalik glared, her golden eyes blazing. Penalty? I will burn this entire place to the ground instead, she screamed, pointing at him. Watch your domain burn, you stupid, but her insult was cut short. Isaac had literally grabbed her leg, forcing the great fire spirit to instantly shrink into a tiny doll-sized form. Isaac, do not eat that. Eli panicked as they rushed forward. The spirit screamed, completely terrified. What is wrong with you people? How on earth did you raise this monstrous child? I will make you pay for this humiliation, she vowed, trying to teleport. But Isaac's eyes flashed red. She tried to escape in a flash of light, or at least, she tried to. Silence filled the room. Isaac kept chewing on the doll while his inner voice laughed. Too bad for you. Shalik panicked, realizing she was completely stuck. The Skeleton King's dark mana bound her like chains, locking her magic. What is this? An elder gasped. Oh, that's just because my boy swallowed a demon finger, Eli explained casually. Eli completely ignored his son's horrified face. As a creature of pure holy light, Shalik felt her powers drain rapidly. Father, please stop this. Gold pleaded desperately. No can do, Eli replied. He looked at the tiny spirit. Stay in my grandson's body and purify the demon mana. Do that, and you're free. Refuse, and he eats you. You absolute lunatics, she screamed. Now, watch closely here because she had no other option. Fine, she snarled. I will use this brat to destroy that annoying skeleton king. Suddenly, Isaac squeezed her with insane strength, sending a telepathic message. Who are you calling damned? Shalik absolutely froze, terrified. Just 4 days, she begged. Lock me up with him for 4 days. Eli shrugged, wishing for longer. Open the East Castle gates, he commanded. Take them there, and lock it until the purification is done. But father, the East Castle is goal started. Silence, Eli snapped. Meanwhile, baby Isaac was secretly celebrating. His new room was located right next to the family's massive mana core vault. Soon, massive waves of dark energy shook the castle walls. Outside, servants began whispering that young Isaac had lost his inheritance and was cursed forever. Insane rumors spread, claiming the kid had withered into an old skeleton. Years slipped by in a flash of flames and screams. Then, suddenly, chaos struck once more. The family manager ran through the halls, bursting into the room. Lord Isaac, are you okay? She gasped. Isaac was just sitting there, calmly sucking on a lollipop. She sighed, wondering how a curse could keep him so small. Isaac secretly smirked. He was staying small on purpose. An infant's body could absorb raw power way faster. It was his only path to absolute godhood. Beside him, Shally groaned. I have to cleanse this crazy brat, she hissed, looking at him with absolute despair. Why on earth do you have even more mana today? I almost finished yesterday. She couldn't comprehend where this endless dark energy was coming from. Isaac just laughed internally. That's because I've been secretly draining the mana cores beneath us for 10 whole years, idiot. After 10 long years, he finally did it. Shalik collapsed from pure exhaustion while the Demon King inside him celebrated. Without even trying, he had mastered level 6 holy magic. Don't worry, the manager announced. The Pope himself is now mobilizing. Isaac froze. The Pope? She then picked him up. They planned to execute the Demon King's 14 minions. Now, I know what you're thinking, but Isaac was panicking. Are they insane? I need those guys. Oblivious, She tucked him into bed. Those damn swindlers, he cursed. I need a plan. Meanwhile, a proud noble praised his son, Shi, the youngest priest ever, whose ceremony the royal princess herself would attend. It's nothing, she replied with calm confidence. After all, I'm your son. Exactly. His father smiled proudly, but then froze as Shi suddenly vanished in a bright flash of blue light. She screamed as he flew through the air, crashing hard onto the floor. He looked up in absolute terror to see a familiar figure looking down. Hey. Shi. Isaac sneered with pure menace. Are you asking to die? Isaac growled. Still lying? You think getting into the academy is some big achievement? This kid is insane, Shi cursed inwardly. You only succeeded because of my training, Isaac stated smugly. I worked hard too. Do you think being top of the class is easy? She snapped, before finally sighing. But yeah, you are right. Maybe I should prepare for ordination too, Isaac murmured. She explained that high-tier holy magic requires being ordained. You're going to help me, he commanded. Sensing heavy killing intent, she instantly stood at attention. How can I assist you? Isaac smiled wickedly. Hand over everything you have, including the prize money. What an absolute demon, she thought. He quickly hugged Isaac to change the topic. Why are they executing the Demon King's subordinates anyway? Well, ever since the vault incident, they completely stopped following orders. They're basically waiting for death. Isaac turned away, his mind made up. There's only one way. I will do it this year. Do what? She asked. My priestly ordination. You aren't even at the academy yet, she gasped. Isaac glared. Are you mocking me? No, she stammered. You can get ordained with a recommendation letter, but you need legendary achievements first, like saving someone incredibly important. Isaac realized he only had 1 month left. He grabbed Shi's collar tightly. The princess is going to attend, right? Yes, she is. And she has the highest possible social standing, right? A wicked smile spread across Isaac's face as he crafted his plan. Meanwhile, over at the estate training grounds, Eli crossed his arms. Isaac is not going to the capital, Eli firmly told the guests. But sir, he must attend the founding festival, the teacher pleaded. That is where saint candidates get ordained. But the family remained cold. Even after 10 years of isolation, the nobles still gossiped about his legendary miracle, desperate to see him make a grand return. Teaching him is my lifelong dream, she insisted. Then, she played her ultimate card. The ceremony matches the princess's birthday, and the Pope himself will be attending. Eli paused. The Pope, having the pontiff personally bestow a hero's title was a massive power boost. Eli tried to deflect anyway. Isaac is simply far too young to be ordained. Age means nothing when it comes to true genius. The teacher fired back. Unable to beat her sheer determination, Eli finally sighed. Fine. Do whatever you want. She cheered, but Eli wore a dark, knowing smirk. Just remember, you'll be responsible for what happens. Meanwhile, Isaac sat comfortably on the lap of a very exhausted Shi. Memories of the mansion's explosion echoed. Far away, a mysterious figure had watched the flames, murmuring that he had finally found it. He recognized the insane power released at King Tyr, magic-resistant holy spirit with a serious personality defect. If he stole it for the papal family, his own high status would be fully secured. A dark scheme began taking shape. With a magic-neutralizing plant ready to suppress Isaac, his trap is set. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see how this crazy scheme unfolds next. Let's dive into a crazy story where a tiny kid is secretly a master manipulator. As some eager guests enter a room to meet young Master Isaac, they realize he hasn't aged in 10 years. Looking up with innocent crimson eyes, the boy grins and welcomes his recommendations. The teachers immediately clutch their hearts, completely smitten, while the stern family head only glares at the cunning little brat, refusing to be fooled. The patriarch fumes, but Isaac is already making his move, channeling holy power into his captor to forcefully trigger the dangerous Skeleton King's chaotic energy, hoping he'll lose control. Complete silence. Absolutely nothing happens. Panic sets in, but Isaac quickly fakes innocence, rubbing against the man's chest while his tiny fire spirit snaps at him to just finish off the priest already. Sensing his ultimate opportunity, the priest grins victoriously, secretly clutching a dark handkerchief. In his mind, this is his golden ticket to finally control a legendary King Tyr spirit. As Isaac reaches to wipe his sweat, a sudden strange scent makes him freeze. It is a trap. Suddenly, the fire spirit coughs violently, clutching her throat as her divine energy goes completely wild. Ominous dark power erupts from the spirit, sending everyone into a panic. Pretending to help, the shadowy mastermind crushes a magic ring under his sleeve, deciding that his moment has finally arrived. A devastating fireball materializes in his hand. He launches the agonizing spell of the spirit, pretending to contain her. As Shally screams while engulfed in flames, Isaac just smiles with pure amusement. Did they really think that weak attack would work? Suddenly, the butler rushes in, announcing the audience is ready. Smiling, Isaac stares at the chaotic energy orb in his hand and closes his eyes. Instantly, the surging demonic energy is dragged right toward the baby's crib, shocking the onlookers. They can only watch in absolute horror as young Master Isaac begins absorbing the dark power directly. Isaac's eyes snap open, his dark red pupils glowing. With a simple snap of his fingers, the demonic corruption vanishes. He casually signals the raging spirit that it is time to calm down. Now watch this. Pure blue sacred energy erupts, instantly subduing the fire spirit's frenzy. The butler and manager can only watch in absolute shock as Shillok's destructive flames are completely extinguished. Shillok stares at her body, stunned by the sheer power that just suppressed her. While the teachers cheer for his incredible control over the spirit, the butler looks at Isaac with trembling eyes. Weeping tears of joy, the butler celebrates that the young master finally spoke. But internally, Kim Yasak is just annoyed. Why is that the thing they are all focusing on right now? While the crowd cheers, the defeated spy collapses in total despair. But Shillok is already hovering right above him, dripping with pure sarcasm as she prepares to interrogate her supposedly loyal subordinate. With blazing eyes, she demands to know the mastermind. The terrified spy tries to claim it is just a misunderstanding, but Shillok spots his fire-resistant gear and snaps in anger. Roaring in fury, she declares that all fire spirits are cutting ties with the Pope's family. Smirking down at him, she mockingly tells him not to misunderstand. She just hates his face. The spy panics, wondering how his spirit can break a sacred covenant, but those rules mean nothing to her. Smiling, Shillok absolutely crushes the traitor before turning her attention back to Isaac. Grateful for being saved, the spirit offers to stay and repay her debt, falling right into Isaac's trap. Meanwhile, the amazed teachers decide they must immediately report this miracle back to the Holy See. With his plan working flawlessly, Kim Yasak wears a sinister grin. Later, at the Patriarch's office, Elahua reveals that the Holy See has already approved the young master's rapid ordination as a priest. It turns out he got approved for possessing a king-tier Holy Spirit. Furthermore, Eli reveals that Isaac scored a perfect mark on a written test containing 1,600 incredibly difficult questions. Really is completely speechless. Aside from the kid's terrible attitude, he seems flawless. But Eli reminds him that they still need to review his personality test, which forces the absolute truth. Reading the first answer about conquering his own family, they chuckle. But their smiles vanish on the second line, where Isaac declares his primary ambition is to literally behead all active gods. You and I both know that's heresy. Eli warns that if anyone else sees these insane answers, Isaac is dead. Trembling, Really is told to accept the ordination in the boy's place instead. Determined to lock him down for some strict homeschooling, they forbid him from leaving. But back in his bedroom, Isaac is already packing, confirming to his shadow that he is leaving tonight. Grinning, the young master hoists his gold on his back, ready to run away. Meanwhile, at the academy, shocking rumors spread about a gifted 10-year-old kid suddenly getting ordained as a holy priest. A red-headed student named Nigel sneers at the news, calling him a weak toddler. He laughs to his friends that the kid has not grown at all in 10 years due to a curse. A blonde student named She stays silent as others assume the ordination is just a ceremony. While his brown-haired classmate sighs with relief, he secretly curses the kid under his breath. Nigel continues to mock him, muttering about how easy it must be for unqualified trash to become priests. The brown-haired friend slams the table, screaming internally for him to just shut up. Suddenly, a cold voice echoes from the doorway, telling Nigel he is heavily underestimating the Holy See. Kina Barrett steps forward with a smug grin, silencing the entire room of students. He points out that Nigel's own father accepted Isaac's nomination, making Nigel stupid enough to insult his own family blood. Furious at the public humiliation, Nigel tells him to shut his mouth. Nigel demands to know what an outsider is doing, causing trouble, but Kina calmly reveals he was invited as the new holy magic instructor for their class. The arrogant students freeze in fear. Kina then turns his mocking gaze to She, saying they can only hope his family survives since the cursed Isaac cannot become a priest. He implies She is just holding the line. She stands speechless, absolutely boiling with rage at being treated like a placeholder. Kina maintains his polite smile while She growls that he does not need any help, storming off in a fury. Back in his lavish room, She violently throws a book to the floor. He paces around in a blind rage, screaming about how everyone dares to look down on him and mock his name. He laments that his family only cares about the runaway punk instead of his own career. But as he wishes the kid would go bald, a tiny figure with murderous eyes pops out of his suitcase. The intruder angrily demands to know if she wants to die for mentioning hair loss. Dusting himself off, Kim Yasak explains he ran away because his family tried to block his ordination. His expression turns dark as he holds a strange object, berating she for being weak enough to let the Pope's family trash walk all over him. She desperately tries to defend himself. Yasak blasts him back with invisible force, before lunging forward to beat him up. He screams that nobody has the right to disrespect his family, because they are his to ruin and destroy. Standing victoriously on top of his flattened cousin, Yasak proudly declares that he is the only one who will burn their family to ashes. Shuri can only groan and beg God for mercy. Telling him to stop overreacting, Yasak commands him to stand up and lead the way. He wants to hunt down the trash who insulted him, dragging a dazed she to the grand dining hall. The strange child immediately catches everyone's eye, with a red-headed girl admiring his beautiful hair. Ignoring the compliments, Yasak shouts out, demanding to know who dared to insult his family. When the red-headed girl turns around, she freezes in absolute terror. That is Nigel's dangerous sister, Naki. Desperate to stop a massive fight before the Inquisitors arrive, she lunges, but he is too late. Yasak is already standing right on top of her dining table, pointing a finger directly in her face. He accuses her of bullying she, but she calmly states that her brother Nigel was the culprit. And trust me, you'll want to see what happens next. While Shuri facepalms, a dark shadow whispers to our crazy main character that this girl is carrying a very familiar, dangerous power. Alright, you and I are diving into one of the wildest fantasy manhwa out there. As a godly aura erupts, a sneering girl named Naki mocks our cursed protagonist, Isaac, and the Pope's son standing with him. She boasts that the Eshua family is getting kicked out of the 5 great faiths. Shuri Eshua desperately tries to intervene, while Yizuk watches her snobby behavior. Shuri begs Isaac to ignore the redheads and go home, but the blonde boy just tells him to shut up. He wants his ordination, though Naki coldly claims it will never happen. She claims Nigel will appeal to the Holy See to cancel it, making Shuri grit his teeth. Naki snidely adds that Isaac's own terrible behavior would get him cancelled anyway. An escort asks if they should call an Inquisitor, making Shuri panic in absolute terror. 70% of the Inquisitors belong to that red-haired family, so he grabs Yizuk to escape. But before they can run, a blood-curdling scream echoes. A massive claw cloaked in dark purple demonic energy slams down as an enormous demon beast suddenly materializes right before them. While everyone panics, Yizuk secretly grins, calling this his insurance policy. As Naki freezes, her bodyguard leaps ahead to protect her, only to be violently slapped away by the beast. The monster roars and charges straight at her. Terrified, Naki expects the worst, but Yizuk simply holds up a toy. The beast instantly stops, grabs it, and happily licks his face. Yizuk complains that it took too long, while the massive beast growls. Naki screams in terror, calling him a monster, as Shuri whimpers nearby. Yizuk's red eyes flash coldly as he commands the beast to leave. Instantly, the terrifying monster wagged its tail like a puppy and vanished, leaving a shadow spirit impressed. The shadow praises his master for summoning a beast just to fake saving the day. Suddenly, Holy Inquisitors burst in demanding to know where the monster went, and Naki points the way. An Inquisitor checks on Naki while Shuri watches in shock. Shuri quickly scoops up Yizuk and tries to awkwardly slip away, but a guard stops them, demanding they stay for questioning. Shuri panics, thinking they are doomed. But Naki points at Isaac and yells that the boy saved her life. Now, pay attention to this hilarious flip. The snobby girl completely changes her attitude, blushing awkwardly as she apologizes to Isaac while still trying to act like she's not grateful at all. Shuri sweats, deeply confused by her rapid change of heart. Meanwhile, the onlookers murmur in awe, realizing the rumors about the young boy's incredible skills might actually be true. Watching nearby, Princess Charlotte wonders if this is the child her brother mentioned. Meanwhile, over at the Ashua mansion, a mysterious voice echoes from a communication orb. The voice asks why Eli is refusing his grandson's ordination, but Cardinal Eli cut him off coldly. He demands they get lost, stating his grandson will remain safely at home. Eli grits his teeth when warned that keeping the boy isolated will warp his personality, knowing that is exactly the issue. The voice in the orb suddenly shifts. The caller mentions a mysterious platinum-haired infant wandering around the academy. Eli freezes, realizing it is Isaac, and frantically yells for his son, Reli. Eli grabs his bewildered son and demands they head to the capital immediately. When Relly protests that it takes a week, Eli checks his watch and declares they have 23 hours. With iron determination, the cardinal orders that they will run. The next day, Shuri frantically pounds on the door, desperately asking the despairing Isaac what he is doing. Why would a tiny baby even want a priest's robe? Shuri slides to the floor in absolute despair, begging the boy to come out before they become a laughingstock. He begs him to give up, praying with clasped hands. But Shuri pales in absolute horror as the mischievous Isaac smirks, ready to make his move. The banquet is dead silent until a loud voice orders everyone to stand. Heavy footsteps echo through the hall as the powerful patriarchs of the 5 great families arrive. Gal Eshua confidently adjusts his collar, determined to be the next patriarch. Suddenly, a panting Cardinal Eli bursts into the room, hoping he is not too late. Eli grabs Gal, demanding to know where Isaac is. As Relly pants that Isaac is likely with Shuri, the grand announcement rings out that the Holy Pope has finally arrived. Pope Giulio Bariat enters, radiating sheer authority and delivering his holy blessing. As he takes his seat, a silver-haired patriarch notes that Isaac is still missing from the hall. With the ceremony underway, Shuri nervously clutches his glass. But tension spikes when they call Isaac's name, leaving Eli annoyed that they are calling a boy who is absent. Suddenly, Eli spits out his wine in shock. Jaws drop as Isaac, now suddenly appearing as a handsome, grown youth, steps forward with a brilliant and confident smile. Eli literally crushes his glass in disbelief while another patriarch leaps up in shock. Ignoring the massive commotion, the confident young man strides forward toward the main stage. You and I both know something crazy is going on. While the crowd gossips about his broken curse and sudden growth, Isaac just responds with a mysterious, knowing smirk. The red-haired patriarch crushes his armrest in anger, while Eli roars in panic, convinced his grandson is being controlled since the boy never smiles like that. A silver-haired candidate wonders if the family curse has actually turned into a blessing. Meanwhile, Isaac finally reaches the throne, silently sizing up the powerful Pope sitting before him. The energy radiating from the Pope is absolutely monstrous. Suddenly, a wild, dangerous thought crosses Isaac's mind. Should he just chop his head off right now? Desperate to create a distraction, Eli deliberately shoves the red-haired patriarch, claiming his hand slipped. Another patriarch screams about a giant cockroach, causing total chaos in the hall. As they bicker, the priest demands silence to restore order. He calls Shuri forward to begin the next phase of the sacred ceremony. Isaac scratches his head in annoyance at the delay. From his throne, the Pope watches silently as they prepare for the high-stakes audience with the gods. As the legendary Holy Grail is brought forward, Eli reassures his son that a supreme blue god will surely answer, while Relly nervously clasps his hands. Relly stammers that even if things go wrong, they will just destroy whatever evil god appears. Eli grabs his collar, demanding to know what he plans to destroy. In the center of the hall, Shuri pricks his finger. As a drop of blood hits the water, a brilliant blue stream of holy power erupts. A massive pillar of light envelops Shuri, prompting proud cheers from his father. Isaac watches coldly, silently mocking the light god as a pathetic symbol of pure, weak integrity. He lets his own blood drop, declaring that any god he meets is just a nuisance. Instantly, the holy water turns pitch black. A terrifying torrent of demonic energy erupts from the Grail, and a massive skeletal figure slowly rises from the dark smoke. Eli screams in terror as the skeleton king looms over the hall. Eli collapses, eyes glowing red, while Isaac looks on utterly bewildered. Chains bind Isaac as a dark voice echoes. Trust me, you and I must see what happens next. All right, you and I are jumping into a story where the Skeleton King vows to destroy a holy nation, starting with Isaac, who is currently bound in chains. But deep down, Isaac's shadow entity is screaming in disgust. The shadow entity glares furiously, absolutely despising this weak imposter, even calling its own master a failure. Meanwhile, the High Priest and the Red Patriarch launch a coordinated attack. Massive bursts of yellow and red magic streak forward. Eli braces against the shockwave, warning others to stand back. With glowing red eyes, he summons a colossal holy serpent of blue energy to crush the Skeleton King. Facing the beast calmly, the king mocks the Blue Clan Patriarch, reminding him his power is severely limited by a curse. Over in the corner, the Silver Patriarch just sighs. He complains about not wanting to intervene because the building might collapse, but with a flash of deadly red eyes, he roars that the king talks too much, unleashing an explosive wave of blue energy. The Skeleton King just flashes a gruesome grin. He snatches up the panicking Isaac, using him as a literal human shield, and asks if they want to watch their precious saint die. Onlookers shriek in panic as the energy serpent lunges forward. Eli Ashoa only smiles cruelly, claiming a true saint would never die from this. while Isaac is violently swept into the vortex. Isaac screams in terror as a colossal explosion of blue light engulfs them. The Skeleton King is swallowed by the blinding blast, leaving the sanctuary in complete, smoking ruins. Nobility watch the smoke, wondering if they got him. They gasp in fear because the legendary Skeleton King has finally returned, 70 years after he cursed the prominent Joshua family. A sharp voice cuts through the dust. Isaac, messy but completely unharmed, growls that the Skeleton King is just an imposter. The Lihua spins around in total shock, asking if he is okay. Puzzled onlookers wonder why the king called the boy a saint. While the patriarch comforts Shuri and the crowd celebrates the king's apparent defeat, Isaac looks up with incredibly sharp eyes. There is no way he is dead, Isaac declares, knowing it was a mere illusion. Behind him, his shadow entity whispers that it was just a clone, prompting Isaac to clench his fist. Now pay attention here. Isaac realizes the clone used his own mana, meaning his old mana core is out there. He smirks, planning to kill the imposter and take it back. Alihua stands lost in thought, remembering his past fight with the Skeleton King. Nearby, Pope Giulio realizes that without his intervention, Isaac would have died. In his memory, the Pope comforts a weeping Shuri. Why did this happen? The child sobbed. The Pope's mind drifts even further back, remembering the supreme god his family served for thousands of years, far above the 5 supreme deities. That deity almost chose the brat from the Joshua family instead. The flashback ends as La walks over to Isaac in the ruins, extending a hand to take him home. Suddenly, he grabs Isaac's head with a chilling grin, praising him for breaking the curse and promising to buy him candy. As Eli leans in, Isaac recoils with intense suspicion. Isaac feels like he is being dragged to a slaughterhouse. Suddenly, a cold voice cuts the air as a silver-haired youth steps up, arguing that Isaac should stay, just as dark energy erupts. Hideous monsters roar from the rubble, surrounding them completely. Eli remains calm, noting they still have things to settle, while panicked priests look on, feeling completely helpless. Isaac smirks, agreeing they shouldn't rush back. He steps toward the shocked silver-haired youth, who growls in anger, calling him an arrogant bastard who only pretends to be a saint. Wanting to prove who the real saint is, Isaac gathers brilliant holy energy in his palm. He thrusts his hand forward, unleashing a massive wave of purification light that engulfs the beasts. The patriarch gasps that it has been 100 years since he saw such pure light, but a smart priest frowns, wondering why he used a cleansing spell instead of an attack. Isaac remembers his teacher, knowing she was his only source for holy arts. But a wicked smile curls his lips as he remembers that once purification reaches level 6, things get crazy. It deals massive damage over time. The beasts shriek in agony, but the silver-haired rival steps in, telling Isaac to get out of his way. You and I both know he's underestimated Isaac. He claims Isaac's level 5 arts are weak, telling him to watch closely, but his own holy spell suddenly crumbles to absolute dust. Isaac scoffs, telling him to target multiple areas. The rival turns around furiously, yelling that these monsters regenerate instantly, but Isaac's cold laughter drowns out his complaints. Crossing his arms, Isaac sneers that those beasts are just mere decoys. He scans the area, unleashing a wave of blue divine power to search the ruins, and quickly locates the core. He pinpoints a tiny glowing insect. The rival frowns, dismissing it as just a bug. Without hesitation, Isaac impales it with a pin, triggering a dark explosion that knocks the rival out. Smirking, Isaac holds up the dead bug, explaining it slowly poisons people. Right on cue, the other students collapse, convulsing in pain, as the rival remembers the skeleton's threat. The Skeleton King wants to destroy their nation, and these poisoned students are its future. Amidst the chaos, Isaac watches calmly until a brilliant golden power suddenly sweeps through the hall. His eyes widen, realizing that trying to purify everyone at once leaves dark energy exposed. His shadow entity whispers in his ear that this is their perfect chance to strike. Isaac grins, calling his shadow a genius. Meanwhile, Pope Giulio raises his staff, flooding the room with a massive light that absorbs the toxins, leaving Isaac and his rival completely stunned. The Pope tells them not to worry, making Isaac mutter in annoyance over his ruined plan. Suddenly, a heavy stomp shakes the ground as a giant wolf demon appears, roaring in anger. The desperate beast vows to drag them to hell, but with a flash of Isaac's red eyes, an invisible pressure slams into the wolf, blowing it away as Isaac mocks it for acting tough. During the cleanup, the rival stares at Isaac, utterly shocked that he defeated a demon with just a glance. Clenching his fists, he mutters that it is impossible. He grabs a passing student, insisting that only the Pope should possess such incredible power. Meanwhile, news of the Skeleton King's return spreads, causing a massive panic everywhere. At the High Council meeting, the Pope announces an investigation into the holy water vessel. While the patriarchs wonder if outsiders are responsible, the real truth is revealed: the holy dragon's protective barrier is rapidly weakening. Reading the news, Isaac notes how the invasion weakened the barrier, letting the papacy dodge all blame. Suddenly, a proud voice praises him, remarking on how well his grandson can read. His uncle claps insincerely, congratulating his nephew on his ordination. Reiwa beams with pride, happy that Isaac can finally speak fluently and read the Skeleton King's highly cursed letter. The door bursts open as the solemn blue cardinal enters. He asks Isaac to step outside so they can talk. Once Isaac leaves, Eli immediately casts level 3 absolute soundproofing. Silence fills the room. His uncle asks if such extreme soundproofing is really necessary. Looking utterly confused, Eli replies grimly that this conversation is about Isaac. He drops a bombshell, suggesting Isaac was chosen by an evil god during his ordination. He explains it was no ordinary summons, as that bizarre symbol has never been seen before. Only the Pope and the Golden Cardinal saw it, which explains why the Pope tried to kill him. Unless it was an evil god, he would never react that way. Suddenly, a shocking realization strikes them. They wonder if it is the symbol of the Golden Faith, known for being obsessed with purity. They definitely wouldn't ignore a family summoning one of their deities, and Eli slowly nods. It could be a god they have never even managed to summon. Eli orders them to bait Shuri with a holy relic, and trust me, you and I are about to see this plan explode. You and I are starting a wild ride where Eli clenches his fist over a tough mission: investigate the papal family, so Shuri gets rewarded and Isaac gets monitored. If Isaac screws up, he faces the trial of faith again. Images of a creepy dark priest, treason, and exile flash through their minds. Eli grits his teeth, warning him that his internship begins soon. While Ray drones on about the past, Isaac cuts him off, complaining that it sounds like military service. Nearby, a trainee whispers earnestly, telling him this evaluation decides his entire future. Isaac just shrugs it off. Then Gaul smiles, asking if he is interested in the sacrifice ritual. Isaac flashes a sinister grin, admitting he is very excited to execute the Skeleton King's minions. Gaul is thrilled to see his faith growing and starts explaining the ritual. But as he gets lost in his own rambling theology, Isaac looks completely and utterly bored out of his mind. Thinking Gaul looks way too happy, Isaac whispers to his demon companion that those low-level gods better start praying before he tears them apart. Completely misunderstanding the vibe, Gaul just laughs. Gaul praises Isaac's fighting spirit, announcing that the top-scoring team gets the honor of executing the targets. But the moment he mentions a group project, Isaac freezes in absolute horror. Gaul pats his shoulder, wishing him success. "Yes, uncle," Isaac replies stiffly. Realizing there is no other option, he smiles brightly, planning to just eliminate the other teams and rescue his crew. Seeing that innocent smile, Gaul sighs in relief, wondering how such a sweet kid could ever become a dark priest. Suddenly, someone asks Isaac which god appeared to him during his ordination. Isaac freezes as a dark priest screams destruction in his head. He mutters that it was an unpleasant symbol that made him want to vomit. The men turn pale, whispering about an evil god. Now, pay attention here, they quickly backpedal, saying faith is all that matters, while Isaac shrugs. But when told the Gold Cardinal wants a meeting, he frowns, wondering what the guy wants. Eli calls out to Isaac, staring at the defiant boy. Suddenly, the door crashes open and Kina Barrett stands there with sharp eyes, demanding a word while the others watch tensely as he approaches. Kina grabs Isaac's hand, leaning in close to tell him he thought he was useless. Isaac grits his teeth in anger, calling him a crazy bastard and asking if he wants a fight. Kina smiles, claiming he realized Isaac hid for 10 years to keep his skills pure from trash. He adds that the consecration ceremony proved Isaac possesses truly extraordinary, next-level talent. Isaac stares in absolute horror, realizing this guy is completely insane. Kina extends his hand, offering to train together under his grandfather so they can step directly into the professional league. He urges Isaac to take his hand so they can defeat the Skeleton King together and rule the Empire, leaving the brown-haired man standing completely stunned. He wonders if this is a new papal bullying tactic, but the guy looks way too serious. While the amazing offer gives him goosebumps, Isaac simply slaps Kina's hand away and tells him to beat it. Knowing Kina has always been a lunatic, the brown-haired man smirks. Kina tries to press the offer, but Isaac cuts him off, pointing at the brown-haired guy and saying he does not care. Isaac tells him to take that guy instead, claiming he is on a completely different level. As the brown-haired man fumes silently, Kina loses his patience, insisting Isaac has godlike talent. He says Isaac is strong enough to banish a demon with a single glance. but a shadow entity whispers to Isaac that the guy just wants to steal his technique, making him hate the idea even more. Isaac shoves him back, saying even imagining the Pope's lessons makes him sick. Kinda freezes, asking if Isaac just insulted his grandfather. Isaac bluntly agrees, saying he wants to chop off the old man's head. Suddenly, a hand clamps shut over Isaac's mouth. The sheer force of this newcomer's arrival makes Relay and the others stumble as a powerful, commanding voice rings out. Eli Ashua, the Blue Cardinal, hoists the boy onto his shoulder and warns Kina to stay away. As Isaac is dragged off, Kina yells that hanging out with that trash will only ruin him, making Eli growl. Left behind, Kina stares in stunned silence. Meanwhile, hanging over Eli's shoulder, Isaac makes a venomous vow, and trust me, you and I know he is going to destroy that entire family next. Now the pentagonal test begins, a brutal ordeal supervised by the cardinals of the four great faiths. Isaac steels his resolve, knowing he must pass this exam to become a priest, no matter what. Putting on his trainee uniform, he asks if his teammates have arrived. But he quickly realizes the groups are divided by family ties, a cheap setup designed to trigger fierce factional warfare. Nearby, Shuri boasts loudly about putting together a team made entirely of his buddies. Isaac smiles coldly, opening the door and promising to whip them into shape before rescuing his crew. Sensing a presence, Isaac grins, expecting a friend. Instead, a harsh voice orders the crowd to tie him up. Before he can react, bullies surround him, accusing him of picking on Shuri. Two smug leaders smirk, calling this a little game and warning him he is dead if he tells Shuri. Isaac crosses his arms, sensing trouble as a teen, sneeringly holds out a baby rattle. They laughingly tell him to consider this a social gathering, mocking him as a helpless baby. But suddenly, bam! The rattle slams directly into the loudmouth teenager's face. The blue-haired leader gapes in horror as his buddy collapses, bleeding heavily. While the group panics and calls him a crazy bastard, Isaac calmly picks up the toy, saying they just need to bond. Flashing a savage smile as the rattle leaks dark energy, he suggests they get extremely close. Amidst terrified screams, Isaac raises the toy like a legendary weapon of pure punishment. Shuri Ashua stares at the unbelievable sight of Isaac sitting comfortably on top of a massive human pyramid. Bewildered, he asks if this is what Isaac seriously calls a friendly social gathering. The crushed guys beg Shuri to save them from his crazy brother. Blushing, Shuri stammers a thank you to them for playing with Isaac, before yelling in complete despair. He demands to know what Isaac is thinking since the goal is unity. Isaac asks innocently if he can see the pyramid, claiming that is more than enough unity. Shuri screams that they only surrendered out of sheer terror, but Isaac ignores him and hands over a piece of paper. Shuri skims the list and gasps, realizing these guys have been leeching off them. Isaac explains they have been draining them for 7 years. When a purple-haired guy claims his family has nothing to give, Isaac cuts him off with glowing red eyes, noting his limbs are still intact. Smiling coldly, he adds that their organs are fresh and he only wants a healthy trade, not trash. He flashes a savage grin, ordering them to work diligently, loyally, and innocently as a team. A trembling voice from below quickly agrees. Smiling, Isaac declares the social gathering over, and the thugs scatter like a broken beehive while the brown-haired young man runs after him. The guy asks what happens if they fail the assessment since unity is key. Telling him not to worry, Isaac says he has a plan and gleefully throws open a large cabinet. Inside, a bound and gagged candidate panics. "Tada!" Isaac exclaims. The brown-haired man grabs his collar, calling him a lunatic for kidnapping their teammate, but Isaac calmly points out the guy holds a letter. The letter states he withdraws as a spy, leaving everyone frozen. Isaac removes the gag, and the brown-haired man kneels before the traitor, asking if Nigel was the mastermind behind this. The weeping spy apologizes, admitting Nigel ordered him to sabotage the Eshua team with crazy demands. Then comes the real kicker. Nigel also commanded them to launch an attack on Isaac as a greeting. Isaac's eyes gleam with a deadly, murderous light. Nigel Seffet did not just attack him, now he is trying to execute his subordinates. It is time to teach that bastard a lesson. Days later, Nigel screams at his subordinates inside his mansion, demanding to know why they are all giving up on spying. And that is where we leave it. Let's see how Isaac handles this. Get ready, because you and I are about to witness some absolute chaos. The lackey trembled as a furious Nigel dismissed him, but another ally promised a backup plan. 3 spies in the Ashua team are still loyal to us. If they flip, that squad is finished. Nigel chewed his nails, cursing the brat he should have killed ages ago. Even his own father was interested in Yuke, which only drove Nigel crazier. Invite that trash to my house? Give me a break. Nigel stood up abruptly. Everything ends today. He marched forward with a smug smirk, totally convinced the team was finally getting expelled. As the candidates gathered inside the Pentagon of Unity, the supervisor droned on about teamwork. Yak literally yawned, but the moment he heard the first test was a vote, he froze. Nigel smirked, crossing his arms. The rule was downright evil. Just one single negative vote would ruin the entire team. His spies in the green squad were ready to guarantee their downfall. Yuzuk noticed the trap while Nigel kept smirking. The supervisor stepped up to announce the results, her eyes locking onto the document. "The green team," she said, as Nigel smiled confidently. "This team is unanimously approved." The supervisor announced their victory in the Pentagon of Unity test. Yak smirked triumphantly, just as a panicked cry echoed from behind. "Isaac, wait for me." His teammate caught up, completely out of breath, wondering how they passed. Yak shrugged. "Remember when the Cardinal of Gold wanted a meeting? I demanded a golden elixir as an upfront payment. He actually gave it to me, so I used it to bribe our spies." The teammate panicked, realizing the bribe happened before the vote. Yak stopped, wearing a sinister grin. "Don't worry, I trust my team." Was Yak finally becoming a good guy? Nope. Desperate screams instantly shattered that hope. The bullies writhed on the floor, crawling forward and begging him for an antidote since they did their job. Yusak played dumb, acting like he had no idea what an antidote was. He claimed he trusted them. Was it poison? The teammate cried in despair, but Yusak insisted he gave them a real golden elixir. Yak chuckled. It was 93% flour, some laxatives, and a tiny speck of gold. Time to pay for draining shear. The writhing bullies begged, so he agreed to keep his word. "Where did I put it?" Yak cheered, holding up a package. His teammate froze. This absolute psychopath was holding a used diaper. As a bully crawled toward it, Shuri Eshua screamed in pure horror. Suddenly, Nigel Seth kicked the door open, demanding his lackeys back. He accused Yak of bribing them, but the brainwashed minions suddenly morphed into monsters, charging straight at their former boss. Shuri rushed to block the attack while Yizak cursed the annoying interruption. Yach looked down at a terrified Nigel, reminding him of his claim that humans crave supreme power to survive. Nigel growled, insisting that survival is a human's absolute priority. But Yusak just smirked, his red eyes glowing with deadly intent. Nigel broke into a cold sweat as a crushing aura overwhelmed him. Could those even be human eyes? Meanwhile, in the Holy See, a powerful cleric sat at his desk, annoyed about waiting 7 days for an apprentice. His aide entered timidly, revealing Isaac refused to come. Worse, the brat told him to bring a massive pile of gold next time. The Cardinal of Gold absolutely lost it, his rage filling the room as he ordered them to drag him in. Meanwhile, Nigel Sefet marched down the hallway in a quiet rage. He spotted a group of strangers loitering near the dorms. Their leader trembled, cursing his terrible luck for running into the House of Red. Yak suddenly appeared, scolding them for being late with his tea party supplies. The servants quickly played along, stuttering fake excuses. Nigel froze, realizing he had walked straight into another trap. As the group tried to slip away, Nigel unleashed a wave of searing purgatorial hellfire, roasting one of them alive. Standing over the blackened corpse, Nigel glared menacingly at Yak. "I have a proposition for you," Nigel sneered, channeling his divine energy. "Why not take a little trial of faith?" Sri Yeshua panicked, knowing this could easily get him burned at the stake. In the worst case, his whole family would be wiped out. Nigel tightened his sash, offering a dangerous artifact that reacts to human touch. Suddenly, a freezing voice echoed from the shadows, calling out Isaac Yeshua. Cardinal Barrett stepped forward, completely towering over Nigel. He growled that he did not expect his summon to be ignored for childish games. The old man's face twisted in rage. "Am I a joke to you?" He seized Nigel by the collar, asking if he looked like a fool. Nigel froze, stammering that he did not expect someone from the House of Red to mess with his servants, before glancing back at Kim Yusak. "Now, pay attention here, this is where everything gets hilarious." Kim Yusak bowed, feigning innocence and claiming Nigel forbade him from meeting the Gold faction. Nigel's jaw hit the floor. He panicked, trying to salvage the situation by shouting that he never said that. Nigel desperately argued that a cardinal summoning a mere trainee is a massive breach of official protocol. Kim Yusak smirked, whispering a little secret directly to the cardinal. The high cleric turned a freezing glare toward Nigel, noting that the third son of the House of Red seemed to have way too much free time. "I only tolerated your nonsense out of respect for your father," Barrett growled. "To teach you a lesson, I am assigning a mountain of extra duties to your entire squad immediately." Nigel wailed in agony. The cardinal then ordered Isaac to follow him, but Kimak smoothly declined, lying that he was already summoned by the Cardinal of Red and had to go there first. This ridiculous lie left Nigel completely speechless. The The Cardinal of Red summoned you? Barrett asked suspiciously. Yak confidently nodded, leaving Nigel in a cold sweat, wondering how the kid knew. If Barrett finds out, I am finished. Desperate to escape, Nigel threw his arm around Isaac's shoulder, lying that he actually came here specifically to escort Isaac to his father. The Cardinal gave him a chilling look that made Nigel flinch. Fine, go. Barrett waved them off dismissively, but muttered a dark warning to himself as he walked away. Since you wasted my time, expect double the chores starting tomorrow. Nigel screamed in silent rage, but when he turned around to vent, Kim Mizek had already completely vanished. Where did that jerk run off to? Nigel roared. Another recruit pointed down the hall, explaining that he went to sleep early because he apparently needs his rest to grow taller. It was literally 2 in the afternoon. Nigel furiously pounded on the door, but Kimach completely ignored him, fast asleep. 3 days later, the only sound left was his squeaking mop. Nigel scrubbed the floors, crying that he would murder Isaac Hua. He collapsed, sobbing about the unfairness of cleaning 18 hours a day, before whining to his father through a communication orb. Nigel resolved to bring the kid to his father, planning a stealthy ambush in the prayer room. 6 long hours slowly crawled by. His patience was completely gone when a teammate burst in, dragging him away for more chores. Nigel desperately screamed that he needed to see Isaac, but then he suddenly froze. I know what you're thinking. This is absolute cyberbullying. Kim Yakshak stood there waving with a smug grin. When asked if he came just to provoke his enemy, Isaac replied, it was just too fun. His shadow summon asked why they needed the red faction. Isaac explained that Cardinal Barrett would never award them the top king rank, showing a menu scaling from king down to worthless skeleton. The shadow cursed. If we get ranked as a skeleton, we are expelled. He wants me dead. Right then, his companion dropped a massive bomb. Your mother was actually engaged to Cardinal Barrett. Yak froze. His father had literally stolen the Cardinal's woman. As his shadow popped out of a paper bag, his friend urged him to ally with the Red Cardinal to keep Barrett in check. The plan was simple: help Barrett's faction pass the Red test to force an alliance. Yik smiled, thinking it would work perfectly, when suddenly, a bloody hand clamped over his mouth. His teammate turned around, totally confused. Isaac sat alone in the silent prayer room while the Gold Cardinal heard a knock. You and I are going to want to see what happens next. Let us jump right into this wild story as the door explodes in fire and Isaac walks out. Sneering at his kidnapper, he asks if he is well, calling him an insolent, hypocritical brat. Isaac cuts him off, knowing the Cardinal summoned him just out of spite. But then the stern Cardinal drops a massive bomb. He wants to adopt Isaac into his elite golden family, leaving Isaac completely stunned. Adopted? Rage flares inside Isaac. He thinks it is a sneaky scheme to suppress his clan. But the Cardinal insists there are no tricks. Just leave the Joshua family and join the Barretts. Wondering if it is because he was called a saint, Isaac shrugs and negotiates, asking what is in it for him. The Cardinal smiles. This bold brat is actually bargaining. We will give you everything your family cannot. Isaac laughs, mockingly claiming his family lacks nothing. But he freezes when the Cardinal mentions they plan to confine him. Over the image of a kneeling follower, the Cardinal warns that the Vatican demands restraint. But the Golden Family has no limits. We will fund your every ambition. Isaac narrows his eyes. Not enough. Make me the next head of the Barrett family, or no deal. The Cardinal pauses. You wanted to be a saint, and now you want the papacy too? Still, joining forces is a massive win. Territory, mountains of gold, tax exemptions, and godlike status are all laid out on the table. Isaac finally nods, agreeing to consider it. The Cardinal is thrilled. We start now, but do not tell the Joshua family. Isaac grins. Do not worry, I will keep this little secret myself. Nearby, another candidate freezes in pure terror after overhearing everything. Xing. The Cardinal's shadow looms over him. Collapsing and trembling, he desperately screams that he did not hear a single thing. Fleeing for his life, the terrified spy runs, while the Cardinal just watches coldly. Little does he know, Isaac is already scheming. I only said I would think about it, he chuckles. I never said I would actually go there. Smirking, Isaac declares that even in death, he would never join the papal family. Furious at his sheer defiance, the Cardinal grits his teeth, repeating the boy's words with boiling rage. Watch closely here, this gets dark. Smiling sinisterly, the Cardinal growls that Isaac is just like his mother in every way, threatening that one word from him could destroy the boy's future. Grabbing Isaac by the collar, the furious Cardinal snarls at his arrogance. Yet, completely unfazed, our main character just lets out a cocky smirk. Isaac retorts that he will build a country that needs no priests or popes. Why have 2 leaders when it is his nation anyway? Dumbfounded, the cardinal stammers, "What on earth are you?" Instantly, Isaac brightens up with a casual smile. Defeating the Skeleton King takes real guts, right? Let us just pretend this adoption offer never happened. It is better for both of us. But as the cardinal holds him, Isaac leans in closer, whispering, "Thanks to you, I am highly curious now about what actually happened at that ceremony. Why would they desperately want to adopt the heir of a rival family?" That heavy question hits the cardinal like a hammer, and Isaac pulls back with a smug, victorious smile. Surely, the entire empire must be dying to know. Meanwhile, back at the Joshua mansion, absolute disbelief echoes through the halls. Ila Yeshua roars in shock. How did Isaac pass the test? He was supposed to fail, cursing. He mutters that his faith must be too weak before falling to his knees. Raising a golden chalice, he desperately prays. Praise be to God. Then, his boiling rage flares up again as he screams for his grandson to get out. Watching in absolute confusion, the second son, Benjamin, laughs sarcastically and asks what on earth happened while he was gone. Since when does our family use holy faith just to curse people? When asked if Isaac is a troublemaker, Relly quickly defends him, insisting the boy is incredibly sweet, innocent, and polite. He tries to smooth things over while their father keeps muttering foul curses, suggesting the old man is just overly worried. I know what you were thinking, but things are getting weird. While Benjamin worries about the inheritance, Eli still fumes over why his spell failed. Watching secretly, Rieli realizes this blessing looks like a straight-up curse. Still, Rayleigh notes that Isaac now holds massive significance for their grandfather. Suddenly, Leah returns to the mansion, offering a curious greeting to her uncle, the family patriarch. She asks how on earth Isaac passed the unison test, but receives only cold silence. Eli mutters that the papal family is taking way too much interest in Isaac, and he is too outstanding to hold back. As anxiety mounts, a heavy, suffocating atmosphere fills the room. Breaking the silence, Benjamin spots a strange envelope and asks his father who sent it, prompting a deep, mournful sigh. "It is from your fourth brother," Eli says coldly. Rieli is stunned to hear that Noel sent a letter. Its incredibly arrogant message cuts straight through the old patriarch's pride like a sharp knife. Eli growls that they must re-educate Isaac. "If you do not think the boy has what it takes, really, then you will be the next patriarch instead." But he passed the harmony test, Benjamin argues, trying to keep the peace. Suddenly, the mechanical bird in Ella's hand shrieks, "Hope my ass." It bursts into a roaring fire spirit. Calmly, Eli asks what is wrong with the spirit. Shellac furiously accuses Isaac of running around, beating other kids with his rattle drum. Benjamin just sighs, "Yep, that is typical Isaac." Rieli is utterly speechless. The wild kid actually poisoned and blackmailed his own team to pass. Just as Eli tries to calm down, Shuri rushes in shouting that Cardinal Barrett wants to adopt Isaac. A deadly, chilling silence falls over the room. Benjamin defends Isaac, saying there is no way he would desert them. But Shuri nervously blurts out Isaac's response. He said it was excellent. What did that cardinal do to trick him? Rieli roars, grabbing Shuri. Nearby, servants whisper that gold can buy anyone. Ellie's thunderous voice booms, "I am standing right here, and they dare steal my kin?" The patriarch's terrifying aura fills the area. Suddenly, a massive chest creaks open, revealing glittering gold from the Barrett family that makes everyone gasp. Other candidates whisper that the rumors about Isaac's papal ties must be true. Staring at the glowing heap, Isaac immediately calls it hush money, his brilliant mind already cooking up a massive scheme. Then, someone raises a banner declaring Isaac as part of the Azure faith. Isaac freezes in utter horror. Why that? Suddenly, a sweating messenger hands him a letter from his notoriously stingy grandfather. Isaac cracks open the seal to find an image of Eli making a cheesy heart gesture with the caption, "You are one of us." Isaac recoils in pure, unadulterated horror, crying why. Out of nowhere, a massive figure materializes, startling everyone. Isaac flinches as Leah appears, and he turns pale upon seeing the terrifying matriarch Melissa right next to her. Absolute panic sets in. Isaac desperately grabs two nearby candidates, looking for a quick escape. But a brown-haired candidate just shakes him, amazed at how realistic the projection is from the high-tech communication orb. Bam! Isaac punches him straight in the face, snarling that he was scared half to death thinking she was actually here. Suddenly, Melissa's grand projection speaks up, welcoming Isaac with a cold smile. She praises him for growing so fast and breaking the Skeleton King's curse. Isaac exhales a huge sigh of relief, thanking God that it is only a projection. If she were actually here, she would immediately realize that I am the Skeleton King. Meanwhile, Melissa notes his kidnapping, pretending to care. While in another area, a green-haired woman calls out to him. Kim freezes. Can she seriously sense my energy through a simple communication orb? But the hostile woman turns to a nearby boy instead, demanding why she senses Isaac's overwhelming power on him. He realizes it is because he swallowed the Skeleton King's finger 10 years ago. Suddenly, both Melissa and Leah materialize in real life, with Melissa smiling warmly at the young man. So what do you and I make of this crazy mess? As the saints gather, Kim grits his teeth, while Nigel grumbles about their annoying presence. All right, you and I are about to dive into one of the wildest fantasy stories out there. As Melissa confronts Nigel, exposing his failures, an invisible force slams him directly to the ground. Melissa turns to him, offering a special reward. Kim Yusak's eyes light up at the mention of a gift, only to realize this reward is a total nightmare. It is my ultimate technique that defeated the Skeleton King himself. The boy gapes in horror at the dangerous gift, while the humiliated Nigel is dragged away by his team. But things are about to get worse. Melissa's sharp voice cuts through the air, directed at a kneeling applicant. She demands to know why he would poison his own teammates. Molek, a spy from a fallen noble family, cries out in fake tears. He claims Kim Yusak gave them poison to pass the harmony test, demanding his rights be stripped. The heavy accusation fills the hall as Molek plays to the crowd. Melissa looks genuinely confused and horrified by the claim, while Kim Isaac just stands behind her, totally indifferent. In the crowd, Nigel whispers that if they get Kim out, he will recruit the spy immediately. But then, the green-haired woman calls out Kimach, making him flinch. Melissa's gaze turns ice cold. Do you think poison alone is enough? She growls, leaving him bewildered. It is completely useless for raising spiritual power. You did a terrible job. Molek frantically grabs her hand, claiming Kim Yak brutally beat them. Melissa turns to lecture Yak instead, telling him hitting flesh does nothing, he should break their bones next time. As Melissa prepares to demonstrate on herself, Leah stops her before she kills the kid. Leah then turns to the terrified spy with a smile, offering to break them for him. Her smile is terrifyingly beautiful as Molek's shriek echoes, but Isak steps in, saying he will handle it. Melissa watches in silence as he leans down to the cowering spy. You should have listened when I threatened you, Isak says, grabbing his collar. From now on, you are my meat shield and servant. Molek curses, this family is full of absolute maniacs. Now pay attention here, this is where we see their bizarre dynamic. In a sunlit room, Isak scratches his head as Melissa asks if he wants to become the family head. Eliminate the saints. Molek screams in shock, but Isak quickly covers his mouth. The boy confidently declares he will defeat the Skeleton King, turning directly to the matriarch. You should also give up being a saint, Grandma. Leah is stunned by his audacity. Melissa simply ponders his words before smiling, confessing she once committed an unforgivable sin. In a flashback, young Leah holds a wooden sword, listening to Melissa talk about a rare chance to slay the Skeleton King. But I failed to do it, Melissa admits, sadly. Back in the present, she explains that God never forgave her, leaving the family cursed. As she calls it her heavy burden, Isak presses her on what she actually did. Melissa only smiles, while Leah quickly defends her. Standing up, Melissa presents a box to Yak, telling him this is the real reason she wanted to see him, the Saint's Rosary. Yak immediately realizes this is the only one of its kind in the world. Suddenly, a silver-haired man appears with a smug grin, wondering why she would give it away. I seal my power inside because I heard your attack magic is way too weak, he explains with a wink. Use it or you won't survive. I will see you in the Holy Kingdom soon. Get lost, Yak snaps, and the vision vanishes. After Melissa leaves the room, Isak jumps in surprise when Leah suddenly appears behind him, staring at him with suspicious eyes. Tell me, you have a manicore core, don't you? He freezes, breaking into a cold sweat. How did she know when even Melissa missed it? He actually considers silencing her. But when she hesitates, Yak spots his chance. He plays dumb, claiming it is just the manticore core from outside, nervously holding the relic up in his hand. He lies, claiming he tried to break the seal with a spell but failed. Leah completely buys the story and takes off her own necklace, saying it can unlock the seal. Yak takes the artifact, celebrating inwardly. Not only does she know about the manicore, she even knows how to break the seal. Leah smiles, assuming he wants to help his family. Okay, I know what you were thinking. What is his grand plan after eliminating the saints? To become a rich, unemployed bum. Leah just bursts into giggles. Melissa laughs loudly, waving goodbye as she leaves. Feeling her intense aura, Yeo realizes she is definitely no ordinary person, while her stern guard stands nearby. He guides her toward a magnificent carriage, lowering his voice in worry. He warns her that the necklace helps unlock the family's secret arts, but Melissa dismisses his concerns. The knight remains uneasy, noting the main family wants that heirloom back. Melissa smiles. If someone manages to steal it from the boy, then he isn't actually talented. When he worries about Isaac becoming family head, she shrugs, saying it is better than him joining the Holy See. Earlier, Yuzio had boldly declared his plan to eliminate the saints. This only made Leah laugh sarcastically. But in reality, the greedy Yuzio was just drooling over the treasure, his eyes literally turning into money symbols. The scene shifts to an ancient mansion doused in heavy rain. A joyful voice greets young Master Goal, who coldly asks about the state of Joshua. Still a pile of trash as usual, Gaul smirks, calling them hypocrites. But suddenly, his gaze sharpens. His intuition tells him something went wrong at the ceremony. A gruesome image flashes in his mind. The priest in charge of Isaac was found dead in the monster forest. They even eliminated the witness. And the Barrett family wants to adopt Isaac unless they have gone mad. He growls. Realizing these anomalies are lethal, he slams his door shut, wanting to be left alone. He scoffs in the dark. He was the one who handed the Joshua family rights to Cardinal Barrett. He felt absolutely no warmth or kinship in this cursed house. Determined to uncover the truth, Gaul enters the secret archives. Flipping through the records, he finally finds it the mark of the god that Isaac Joshua chose. Realization strikes and he freezes. A divine light explodes in his mind. The greatest god is with me. Gaul slams the book shut, finally understanding the truth. He realizes this is no longer about the Holy See. It is about the survival of the Barrett family. Clenching his fist, he runs out, knowing the entire empire is now in danger. Elsewhere, a trainee uniform lies discarded among piles of treasure. Kim Yuzak asks if this money is enough to find a weapon that can destroy the binding orb. The shadow entity points to a glowing stone. It explains that the anti-demon stone is immune to all energy. Kim Yuzak roars in anger that they turned his subordinate's orb into one. Sighing on his bed, he looks at the blue pendant Leah gave him. He has never seen anything like it. But as the objects touch, the seal begins to open. Dark energy surges from the mana core. The shadow lunges, devouring the core as dark magic engulfs the room. Kim Yuzak is thrilled, sensing enough mana to upgrade his rank. He can finally use high-level magic. He bursts into insane laughter alongside his shadow, reveling in the power. But the laughter dies when he looks down at his hand. And that is where we leave it, trust me. You're going to want to see what happens to his skeleton hand next. See you in the next one. Let's dive into a story where a deadly curse is resurfacing. Isaac reassures himself that his blessed body won't be easily devoured by the Skeleton King. A sudden mana spike shattered the balance between his divine power and the curse. Praying takes too long, and relics are wasteful. He decides his only choice is the Red Pentagon Challenge. It's a forbidden test to massively boost his divine power. Laughing, he wraps his decaying hand in bandages, hoping to hide it. Suddenly, someone calls out to him. Another candidate bursts in, panicked. Isaac freezes as the suspicious boy questions him. Why are you laughing alone? That's creepy. And why are you hiding your hand? Are you hurt? Isaac hesitates, but the boy lunges and rips the bandages away, exposing bare bones. His shadow urges him to erase the boy's memory, but doing that is way too risky. The boy looks at him with pure pity, assuming his bad attitude is just from this decaying body. He sighs, saying everyone only thinks Isaac is evil because of his condition. Recalling their family history, the boy remembers talent always comes with defects. While Isaac secretly wonders if he should just kill him, the boy grabs him, offering to seek help from Grandpa. Warned that he'll die young, Isaac leans into the act to protect his identity. Clasping his skeletal hands innocently, he begs him not to tell Grandpa or his uncles. He grandly declares that the Pentagon test is more important. He wants to execute the Skeleton King's minions before he dies, leaving the other boys speechless and moved to tears. Leaving the room, Isaac drops a final hook, promising he won't die easily. His new friend immediately takes the bait, begging him to find a way to live. Isaac turns back with a sinister smile. His red eyes glow. Now pay attention here, because 20 days later, a furious shout echoes through the great hall, screaming for the devil Isaac. Exhausted candidates list their crazy grievances. One almost died from a bathroom bomb, another found poison gas in their pillow, and a third had poisoned food. Meanwhile, the culprit, Isaac, innocently munches on bread, wondering why they hate his training. An enraged candidate holds up a target list, but Isaac calmly replies those are just their goals. He points to a massive pile of sacks, ordering them to put them on. The bewildered group realizes they're heavy sandbags, protesting that they are priests, not physical knights. When they ask if they need physical training, Isaac explains it is for the Pentagon test. Someone retorts that the next test is intelligence, but he casually pulls on weighted gloves. He happily reveals he swapped the order, making the next test the physical red pentagon. Promising their project will be different, he silences the speechless group, telling them to stop chatting. He orders them to grab sandbags and run 50 laps. A candidate growls, calling him crazy for changing the order and demanding 50 laps. Isaac simply holds up a scroll, saying he misspoke. Grinning terrifyingly, he ups it to 100 laps. Baring his teeth, he warns them they'll regret it if they don't get first place, shouting for them to run. After the brutal session, an exhausted candidate throws off his gear, refusing to try this hard. In the lounge, another laments that 2 kings are enough, and they already have one. When they assume the blue pentagon will deliver the next king, Isaac grabs him by the collar. Are you kidding? We need 5. Friends hold back a blonde boy, shouting they'll never get a king. They argue that the next test is Yahello, questioning why they're training like this. Others yell that the order is imperial tradition. Suddenly, a panicked candidate rushes in, completely out of breath. I know what you're thinking, but wait until you hear the news. The next test is indeed the red pentagon. The Cardinals change the order, meaning they face brutal one-on-one combat. Failing, this means failing the entire program. They all turn to Isaac, who stands with crossed arms and a dark, sinister smile, asking if they are finally ready to start training. Days later, the atmosphere of the training center is heavy as lead. Nazar Zepp grumbles about his father, listening to Isaac, while Leon Zepp muses silently nearby. Isaac promised to show him something interesting, making it a team battle. Despite this change, Nazar smirks, confident they have nothing to fear from Shuri's blue team. He is certain the combat-specialized Red House won't lose to such weaklings. Rallying his team, Nazar charges into the arena to finish them fast, but their smiles instantly freeze. In the stands, Cardinal Leon frowns as the blue team emerges. Walking beside Isaac is Kina Barrett. Isaac innocently explains his cupbearer had a stomach ache. Grinning, he points to Kina, saying he luckily found a replacement. Since it's just training, it should be fine, right? Nazar's face completely freezes in shock. As the crowd murmurs, Kina steps forward, radiating the immense power of a high-ranking priest. Leon turns to the gold cardinal, angrily demanding why Kina was placed on the blue team. He stops, realizing the gold cardinal looks just as bewildered. In a quick flashback, Isaac offered Kina a deal, promising to clear out the trash if she taught him a powerful technique. Nazar watches with betrayal written all over his face. He roars that this is cheating because she is not a trainee, but Kina coldly responds that she refused the promotion. She gave up her privileges just to remain a trainee like Isaac Joshua. The stadium freezes. Kina looks at the sweating referee, asking if he has made a final decision. Kina is still officially a low-ranking priest who hasn't taken the Pentagon test. There are no rules prohibiting her from playing, leaving Nazar to scream in anger while Isaac gloats. Nazar grits his teeth, knowing they can't beat Kina and still have to face Isaac. It's a guaranteed loss. Meanwhile, the blue team captain, Shuri Joshua, trembles, hoping a captain duel might work. Isaac notices him shaking and grins, asking if he needs to use the bathroom. But Shuri is not laughing, insisting that Isaac should be the real captain of this team. Shuri grabs Isaac's collar in pure desperation, admitting they only made it this far because of him. From skipping grades to passing harmony, it was all Isaac, who calmly removes Shuri's hands. Isaac notes that while he is a good teacher, Shuri still had to keep up. Glancing at the enemy, he admits Nazar isn't weak, but defeating him shouldn't be too hard. Isaac suddenly smiles, cutting Shuri off. With a demonic grin, he warns that if Shuri loses, he'll personally stab him. Shuri stammers in panic as the loudspeaker announces 5 minutes until start. As both teams prepare for battle, a girl with a green ribbon watches anxiously. Beside her, a silver-haired man frowns, deeply worried for young Master Isaac. Even with Kina helping, this is a dangerous spot for Isaac and Shuri. He glares at House Red, realizing those bastards have already cast a destruction spell on the field. Isaac smiles wickedly, acting as if he is gripping invisible chains. Suddenly, a strange purple aura envelops his entire team, causing the man in the stands to gasp in shock. Recognizing Azure's holy spell, the girl nods and explains it is Spirit Uplift, but as the blue team charges like wild beasts, they recoil in horror, wondering how this could possibly be morale boost. Instead of boosting morale, they look like absolute monsters. Isaac smirks, revealing his secret mix of the holy spell and heavy herbal doping. He calls this terrifying state beastification. Looking over his wild army, he knows their bodies are ready. As giant magic circles glow in the arena center, Isaac smiles slightly. realizing the show is about to start. Pink light erupts as energy surges to its peak. A colossal statue emerges from the ground as the crowd roars. Trust me, you and I are not ready for what happens next. All right, you and I are stepping right into the middle of a massive holy war. House Red is literally praying to their god of justice for a blessing, while over on our side, Kim Yusak's teammate clenches his hands, begging for a win. But then, out of nowhere, Shuri Joshua lunges like a ghost, punching the holy statue right in the chest. It completely shatters, raining debris on the blue team, while Kimak just acts totally innocent. Boom! The statue's head explodes. His teammate grabs Isaac and shakes him crazy, yelling at him to stop breaking things. Meanwhile, the red team is losing it because Isaac Joshua just decapitated their god. An angry enemy rushes over, grabbing him by the collar. Even Kina Barrett is screaming, shocked that he actually broke a sacred statue. But then, her fear turns into pure curiosity as she clings to him. She begs him to teach her the spell, but Yusak just gives her a cold, empty stare. Up in the stands, a smiling supporter prays, saying every god but the gold one is useless anyway, asking to save this kid. Another opponent grabs Yak, laughing that Isaac has finally pushed this arena to its limits. His teammate nudges him, whispering that he needs to apologize, so Isaac lets out a totally fake, half-hearted sorry. Watching from above, two cardinals take in the chaos. Leon Sepet grins with a dark look, calling him a wild kid he wants to break. But the blonde cardinal points out the real issue is House Red. They let a lowly trainee destroy their sacred monument, so maybe they should check their own faith first. Thick, deadly aura fills the air as the two clash, and Leon Sept barely holds back his rage. Calling him a little snake, he warns against starting a trial over some trainee. But then, a cold voice echoes in his mind, commanding him to start the Pentagon game. Nizer flinches instantly at his father's mental order. He looks up to see his father's freezing gaze from the balcony. A ruthless command, wrapped in dark energy, tells him to completely destroy Isaac Joshua. Right then, the referee yells out the simple rules of the game. You have to find the one real necklace hidden among the fakes to win. Yak's teammate mutters that since the captain picks the holder permanently, this decision is everything. Meanwhile, Nicer rallies his own squad. There are 3 ways to win. Grab the captain and force a confession, use basic deduction, or crush the enemy and take every single necklace. The referee yells to hand them out. Nizer notices his team looking worried and tells them to chill out since it is just House Azure. Shuri Joshua is actually shaking, begging to quit as captain, but his ally grabs his collar to stop him. Nizer sneers, calling Shuri weak and a total walk in the park. He says they only need to keep an eye on Kina. The red team laughs, calling them brainless idiots who only know how to hunt, and the match begins. Now, watch closely. While the blue team freezes in sheer horror, Kim Yusak launches himself straight into the action with a twisted, wild laugh. He realizes he can legally trash these annoying priests. Shuri Joshua stammers, terrified of his face, but Nicer remains completely clueless, shouting that Azure's holy code of honor means they will not attack first. Yusak lets out a wicked grin, baiting the trainee priests. He swings an insanely massive spiked mace, roaring for them to bring out their captain. With one single blow, he sends the entire red squad flying. A stunned priestess stammers, wondering what happened to their code of honor. Kimak steps up, licking his weapon with a deadly glare. He tells them to hand over their leader if they want to survive. Nizer Sepet scrambles backward as his allies drop like flies. Their commander yells to hold the line and stand firm, but Kenna Barrett spots a perfect opening and charges right into the enemy. Someone warns him that it is a feint, but Nizer just smirks as she approaches. He remarks how impressive she is, confidently raising his voice because he thinks he has her completely figured out. Suddenly, a magic vortex traps Kina, and she realizes it is a duplication spell. Nizer points and orders his team to grab her, but a powerful binding spell slams down, freezing them in their tracks. Kina clicks her tongue, realizing she's safe but still stuck in the vortex. Suddenly, a massive shockwave blows Nizer back. He scrambles up, eyes wide and wearing a completely unhinged grin, screaming to attack. The blue team, eyes glowing blood red with wild rage, absolutely tears through the enemies. Nizer dodges, yelling that it is just a cheap beast trick, while over in the corner, Shuri Joshua is pinned against a wall. Nizer corners him, his fist glowing red as he promises to rip Shuri's arm off as a souvenir. Up in the stands, a woman screams a desperate warning, while Shuri sweats bullets, clenching his teeth. As he curses, Yak's voice echoes in his head, telling him to stay calm and listen. In a flashback, Yak warned that Nizer would try to force a duel because he always looked down on him. Suddenly, Shuri's eyes turn sharp. Nizer throws a punch, laughing that it is over, but Shuri's eyes flash blue as a wave of energy deflects the strike. Relly screams his name, while Yizak wears a smug smile. Shuri grabs Nizer by the collar, calling him the real fool. Before Nizer can even react, Shuri flips him over his shoulder, slamming him so hard into the stone floor that the entire ground cracks. Nizer lies completely still in the dust with vacant eyes. Shuri stands over him, panting heavily, and asks if he knows why the Azure technique is strictly forbidden to be used on regular humans. Because a human body simply cannot handle that insane level of raw power. The entire stadium falls dead, silent as Shuri grits his teeth, his breathing heavy. From the stands, Relly screams out, telling him to never underestimate House Azure. Shuri stands tall, completely reclaiming his lost pride while the crowd watches in shock. Only Kina Barrett looks on suspiciously. Now, you and I both know he was never this strong before, right? A strange energy wraps around him. Isaac smirks, commanding him in his mind to finish the job and get the necklace. He orders him to do it right and end it. Reluctantly, Shuri grabs the begging Nizer by the collar, demanding to know where the necklace is, leaving Nizer looking completely lost. Still acting incredibly smug, Nizer sneers, asking if he really thinks a noble heir would ever break under this kind of questioning. Frustrated, Shuri tears at his own hair, screaming for him to confess. He begs him to speak so he can leave alive, but Nizer just snarls at him to shut up, boasting that as the successor, he knows every brutal punishment there is. Shuri raises his heavy boot right over Nizer's face. Nizer's confidence instantly shatters as he begs him to wait, but a sickening crunch echoes across the stadium before he can even process the agony. Terrified spectators scream as anger spreads through the crowd, but Shuri keeps up the brutal act with gritted teeth. Hidden in the corner, Kim Yusak watches with a chilling grin as Nizer's screams echo. Up in the stands, a red-haired man squeezes his eyes shut. Shuri's voice rings out like a cold curse, demanding that Nizer just confess already. Unable to watch any longer, Nizer's team charges forward, shouting at Shuri. But Kina Barrett steps in, cold as ice, declaring that absolutely none of them are going a single step further. She taps her foot, unleashing an epic circle of blinding holy magic. A powerful purging spell activates, trapping the entire red team in beams of paralyzing light before a massive blast completely knocks them out. Broken on the floor, Nizer finally realizes the truth. They all pretended to get trapped on purpose. As Shuri reaches for the necklace, Kim Yusak stands tall over them, leaving his opponents frozen in horror. He engineered this entire layout from the very start. Yusak smiles, holding everyone in the palm of his hand. A terrified enemy screams, realizing he did all this just to make Nizer talk. Yusak plays dumb, turning around with a freezing tone. He reminds them that actually, everyone here knows where the necklace is. As his ring glows, panic completely grips Shuri Joshua. An opponent desperately begs him to stop, promising to tell him everything, but it is way too late. Isaac roars, swinging his spiked mace to drain the energy of enemies and allies alike. Seconds later, he holds up the red gemstone necklace. Team Azure wins. As the announcement echoes over the fallen squad, Kim Yusak raises his prize while his teammates stare in absolute awe. The stadium erupts, and that is how we finish this epic match. Ray clenches his fist in victory, praising Isaac and Shuri. But suddenly, a powerful voice echoes as the Crown Prince, Chabi, steps forward to meet them. All right, you and I are diving into a world where even simple gifts carry deadly secrets. Chabi smiles, offering prestigious priestly uniforms to Relly's outstanding nephews, who bow in deep respect. Relly wonders if this is even allowed. Chabi readily agrees, but adds a strange twist: he wants to tag along with the tailor. Relly panics, stammering that they are just mere apprentices. But Chabi places a firm, heavy hand on Relly's shoulder as his playful tone turns dead serious. He tells him to pull his youngest nephew out of the Golden Pentagon immediately. Leaning in, he whispers a bone-chilling warning. The Pope is actively trying to assassinate Isaac. Relly stands completely frozen. Meanwhile, down in the waiting hall, a servant calls out for Kim Yizak while Relly bows to the departing prince. Despite the terrifying threat, Relly's faith in his nephew remains unshaken. He remembers Isaac's cocky smile. Elsewhere in the venue, the contestants are buzzing with wild rumors. The Crown Prince is gifting them custom clothes. But while everyone celebrates, Kim Yizak sits on the throne looking completely bored, asking Kina Barrett why she has not gone home yet as she smirks over her tea. She claims she does not need him now that the test is over. Suddenly, her panicked servant rushes in, warning that the patriarch is searching for her. Slamming her cup down, she refuses. Kina looks her butler dead in the eye and lies without flinching, claiming he was the one who told her to transfer to the Azure household. The stunned butler can only stammer in utter disbelief. She snaps that it happened last night. Isaac cuts in, fiercely cornering the sweating butler by demanding who gave him the authority to make decisions for a future Azure priest. Kina declares she is staying since she already accepted. She tells them to inform her father she is not coming home. The Azure team helps chase the servants out, while Kina watches Isaac closely. Now, watch closely here because Kina is questioning his bizarre magic. Meanwhile, Isaac is stewing over those gifted clothes, knowing it is the prince's way of claiming ownership over them. Even with her servants gone, Isaac has no intention of keeping her around, bluntly telling her to get lost. But Kina dramatically drops to the floor, daring him to drag her out. He tells her she is already useless to him, but when she demands he keep his word, Isaac smirks. He cancels the deal, pointing at Shuri Joshua to show off a much more obedient disciple. He is clearly talking about Shuri. The entire room pauses in pure confusion. Her pride deeply wounded, Kina stomps her foot as Shuri jumps up in panic. Shuri protests being dragged into the mess, but Isaac just shrugs. While those two bicker, the mood over at the Sanctus Ballroom is completely different, dripping with heavy tension. Stunned students whisper about the lavish winner's banquet. Relly raises his glass, plagued by doubt. He cannot believe Isaac's team actually won first place, questioning how the Holy See even scored this. Cardinal Leon Sept approaches with a slimy grin, congratulating him on the Azure victory. He mentions hearing that Relly is about to reach level 9, making Relly frown at the backhanded compliment. Leon continues, calling it impressive but noting that the Azure Patriarch must have a massive headache, leaning in to grab Relly's hand. The Cardinal brutally twists the knife, pointing out that their only heir is running out of time and Relly cannot even have children. Relly's face darkens as he realizes they know about the Joshua family curse. Forcing a calm look, Relly claims he has zero interest in becoming Patriarch. But his thoughts are cut short as Leon marches toward his nephew. Relly just hopes he does not touch Isaac. Leon looms menacingly behind the boy, who is happily stuffing his face. A teammate frantically shakes Isaac's shoulder, irritated at being disturbed while eating. Isaac swallows and looks up with pure attitude. Leon demands to know what interesting thing Isaac wanted to show him. You and I both know Isaac does not care, he just smiles, proudly boasting that he absolutely crushed the Cardinal's son. He asks if Leon enjoyed watching. A terrified teammate immediately clamps a hand over Isaac's mouth, horrified that he would insult the Crimson family. But Isaac just shoves the hand away, completely unbothered. Leon Sept smirks with sharp, lethal eyes, claiming he had high expectations for the Azures. He narrows his gaze, noting he sensed dark magic on him. Isaac just chuckles at the accusation. He mockingly asks if Leon forgot that he literally ate a piece of the Skeleton King as a child. Isaac then boldly asks if they should continue this fun at the Golden Pentagon. This insane declaration stuns his teammates. One stammers, asking if he plans to fight the Golden Cardinal's son next, while another clutches his head in absolute despair. Isaac smiles, revealing his real, crazy demand. He wants the keys to the demon prison to watch them respond to the Skeleton King's call. Leon's face turns dark as he turns away. He cold-bloodedly promises the keys if they somehow return alive, though he doubts it is possible. Leaving, he spits a curse that they will all perish inside the Golden Pentagon. Isaac frowns, wondering what nonsense that old bastard is spewing now. Just then, a panicked teammate runs in to announce they have been assigned an urgent expedition mission for the Golden Pentagon. As Leon's mocking voice echoes, he mockingly asks if they want to know their destination. Dropping a massive bombshell, Crayandia, the Mystic Empire. A teammate leaps up in horror. Knowing that land actively kills priests, they scream in panic, questioning if the leaders are insane since it is right next to demon territory, a place ruled by a high-ranking demon who slaughtered priests 14 years ago. Amid the chaos, Leon mockingly offers to use his authority to change the deadly location. Terrified, the teammates beg Isaac to swallow his pride and plead with the Cardinal. Isaac looks up with wide, completely innocent eyes, asking if he will really change it. Meanwhile, at the Azure Mansion, a breathless messenger bursts in with terrible news. They are being ordered to rescue kidnapped knights in the dangerous land of mages. It is a suicidal S-rank mission. Another member quickly tells him to calm down. Their father has already left to file a formal protest. Gritting his teeth, the man in the vest fumes that the Holy Capital is clearly trying to murder Isaac, but father will stop it. They cannot legally assign a mission that disrupts fragile foreign diplomacy. Relly sneers, calling it a cheap warning to stay humble, while the man in the vest worries about Shuri dying there. He says even Isaac would be sensible enough to reject it. Suddenly, another messenger crashes in with more bad news. Back at the ballroom, Leon urges Isaac to just beg for his life, but Isaac coldly refuses. Behind his hands, a menacing, wicked grin creeps onto his face. Looking up with a completely crazed expression, He laughs that it sounds fun, while the messenger screams the news back home. He actually accepted the suicide mission. Relly and the others stand completely stunned. Their destination is Blackfield, a desolate, lethal demon territory, where a sinister voice echoes from a ruined fortress. Ash's voice is freezing cold as she asks her prostrated subordinate how they failed to assassinate the Saintess. The trembling demon begs for forgiveness, but she dismisses it. The main goal was always to unleash absolute chaos, witness their king's power, and smuggle demonic artifacts into the Empire. Shaking, the subordinate praises her terrifying brilliance. Ash smiles eerily, remembering that even a fraction of that power was horrifying. Suddenly, the subordinate reports sensing their great skeleton king's presence during the recent investiture ceremony. Ash leaps from her throne in sheer horror, shocked that their king's power resides in the crazy kid who ate a piece of him. The servant confirms he is currently training. A wicked grin spreads across her face. He will soon enter the Golden Azure Trials, a brutal playground where young priests and demons hunt each other. She laughs at the glorious opportunity. Her eyes go completely wild, wondering how strong she will get if she consumes him. And trust me, you and I are definitely going to want to see what happens next. All right, you and I are jumping right into a mess at the Academy. Rumors are spreading that the Azure team is on a suicide mission to rescue a holy knight from the Mystic Empire. The Gold family wants us dead, and everyone thinks we are finished. But the worst part, a teammate says while pacing, is that the holy knights are totally ignoring us. Crossing the border makes us instant bait for every demon and bandit out there. The ash-blonde teammate scowls, cursing their luck, while the brown-haired boy demands to know why nobody will join them. It is your fault. People are literally writing their wills. 14 years ago, an entire Azure team was wiped out here. Meanwhile, Kim Musash just picks his ear, calling it a cheap trick. Reject the mission and suffer, or accept it and die. But a dark grin creeps onto his face as he realizes success means owning a rich mana core factory. We still have a shot if we can recruit the elite first-rank Holy Knights. Too bad Count Malik shows up to ruin the hope, bragging his son and the gold team already claimed them. The Count scoffs, regretting sending his kids to Azure. But Yizak just smirks, amused by the old man's short-sighted thinking. You will be the outcast once we win. The teammate panics, begging Yizak to at least recruit the second or third-ranked knights. But Yizak's eyes light up when he spots a different group. Misunderstanding the look, his teammate cheers and tells him to sign the second rank. Instead, Yizak dashes over to the registrar, leaving the official completely speechless with his choice. Yizak just flashes a bright smile and a thumbs up. When he returns, boasting about his success, the team learns he picked the fourth-rank Holy Knights, and everyone freezes in horror. Now pay attention here, because this is where his teammates lose their minds. Yizak proudly claims he signed the strongest unit, but they roar back that the fourth rank are just useless pack mules. Still, their actual skills easily surpass the royal guard, and they absolutely despise the church. Naturally, the cold and imposing family patriarch summons Yizak to demand an immediate explanation. Demand an explanation. Yizak forces a smile while his dark companion warns him of the patriarch's rising fury. Time to put on an act, claiming he did it to protect family honor. The patriarch roars with deadly intent, asking how a dark magic user dares to speak of honor. He growls at the boy's shock, revealing he knew his secret all along. I can no longer trust you. Backed into a corner, Yizak commits to a wild lie, yelling that he hates the Skeleton King. His dark shadow gapes as Yizak spins a tragic sob story. He cries about family shame and losing his parents to the Bone King, screaming with teary eyes. The patriarch softens as Yizak vows to personally destroy the fake Skeleton King. Yizak declares, his eyes blazing, that he only learned dark magic to hunt his enemy. He swears revenge with so much passion that even his shadow thinks he has gone mad. While the patriarch hesitates, Yizak gloats inside. His real goal is to secure the Joshua family first, then seize control. Living in hiding would only bury their legacy in disgrace. The patriarch smirks, noting Yizak is truly one of them, despite claiming he did not need to sacrifice himself. Turning away, he adds that the mission is allowed to fail. If you and your squad survive, I will officially name you my successor. Behind his back, Yizak bows like a perfect, obedient heir. Once the patriarch leaves, Yizak flashes a wicked grin. The scheme worked. Days later, outside the capital, the grueling march begins. Yizak cheerfully tells his exhausted crew they will meet the knights in the next town. A teammate collapses, swearing they must survive and return. Meanwhile, the dark shadow floats nearby, reporting what it discovered about the demon encounter from 14 years ago. She belongs to the Western Army and might be an old acquaintance. A vision of the female demon appears, having already crushed other recruits. Yizak just clicks his tongue. Okay, I know what you are thinking. Should he run? No way. Those punks broke his rules, and he is about to teach them a painful lesson despite his unrecovered powers. She whispers that she found them, tracking the Joshua heir. Back at the castle, Crown Prince Shabla lowers the report, shocked that Yizak selected the lowest-tier paladins. An aide confirms he completely ignored the elite knights. The prince wonders if his judgment is failing, but his advisor suggests the boy might actually have incredibly keen eyes. The captain sent was a half-elf, weak to demons but still a huge asset. Yet, the prince smirks, noting Yizak purposely chose a squad made entirely of half-demons. The assistant warns of their wild nature, but the prince just smiles. At the rendezvous point, a fist slams down. 5 hours late, Commander Derek roars, asking if they are picking a fight. One knight calls it a joke, while others note the Azure family is usually on time. Derek curses the priest just as a cheerful, young voice greets the commander. Derek spins around to find Yizak standing nonchalantly with his arms crossed. He casually apologizes for being late, making the furious commander growl and ask if they even know the time. Claiming bandits block their path, Yizak leans in with a malicious glare. He suggests someone set them up, accusing the knights of acting like they are too good for them. Yizak turns around, suggesting they should just pack up and leave. His teammate panics, while Derek barks, demanding why they waited 5 long hours if they planned to quit. Yizak counters that their heavy gear proves they are not just escorts. He smiles, exposing Derek's plan to use his team as bait, which instantly snaps the commander's remaining patience. Derek demands to know if Hao told them, shocking the teammate who recognizes that alias. Cornered, the commander unleashes dark energy right around his blade. He yells that he needs them to enter Cross Andia, charging forward at terrifying speed to take them by force. Suddenly, Yizak's voice cuts the air as his eyes flash a deep crimson. He issues an absolute command to sheath the sword, freezing Derek midair. Above them, a massive, majestic phantom of the Skeleton King suddenly manifests. Paralyzed by the crushing pressure, Derek trembles as his mind screams in panic. He cannot resist the absolute command of a mere child, leaving Yizak to smirk inwardly. A demon always obeys the strong, which is exactly why Yizak recruited them. Derek grumbles helplessly, and sheathes his weapon as Yizak casually tells everyone to keep moving. The team panics because he just provoked their allies, but Yizak shrugs. Since they need each other, Derek officially declares their mission to rescue the hostages and kill the demons. Yizak casually glances back, stating he does not care if they save those hostages or not. Derek freezes, asking if they only teamed up to use them. Yizak plays completely innocent, while secretly gloating. A female teammate steps up, asking if he actually has a plan. Suddenly, a bandaged knight shouts, telling them not to trust demons. They will surely betray us, he warns as dark energy erupts. Yizak coldly asks why they accept such low-rank missions, just as the knight collapses and begins to mutate into a beast. He fully transforms and lunges, grabbing his teammate by her collar with bloodshot eyes roaring in savage fury. The teammate screams that they cannot trust them, but Yizak suddenly punches the beast right in the face, instantly dissolving the demonic form and leaving the knight completely confused. And trust me, you and I are about to witness an absolute bloodbath once they step foot into that cursed demonic city. All right, you and I are about to dive into the wildest, most hilarious power trip you've ever seen. It starts with this bandaged knight admiring Yak, praising him just for punching him back to human form. Yak smugly takes credit and grabs his bags, ready to move out. But as they prepare to leave, he spots a totally still sparrow hidden inside. His dark companion notes that the bird is just playing dead. Smiling, Yiz holds up a scroll, suggesting they play along with the feathered actor. The bird mutters about the cruel bloodlord sending it to a wretched priest, leaving Yak blinking in confusion. Realizing a great demon king sent this messenger, the sparrow hops closer. Suddenly, the dark assistant detects a barrier, mentioning the bloodlord. Yak instantly recognizes the name of his former loyal subordinate. He squeezes the bird, forcing a squeak confession about the demon queen. Apparently, she ruined his ceremony, smuggled in a strange device, and ordered the hit on a target named Ash. Listening closely, Yach learns the bloodlord would prefer execution over facing this demon. He slams the scroll down as the bird reveals the bloodlord thinks the current skeleton king is a fake. The bird shrieks that the lord got arrested for shouting this. It then warns Yuzuk that since he absorbed a fragment of the great skeleton king, Ash is probably waiting to ambush him. Transforming into a tiny demon, the messenger flees, begging Yuzuk not to die. Just then, a wavy-haired ally runs up out of breath, complaining that they have been searching everywhere for him. Giving a big thumbs up, the teammate praises him for supposedly ordering food from the tavern, He points to a strange group who claim they are here to serve the priests, but Yak freezes. The supposed feast is actually made of other priests. Yi smirks, realizing the enemy walked right into his hands as an innocent-looking girl carrying a basket steps forward. Now pay attention, because here's where Yisak starts putting on an act. While his teammates whisper to ignore his behavior, he suddenly snaps at a nearby girl. Kim Yusak points at the poor girl, complaining the food is too salty and even her breathing is annoying. Playing a spoiled young master to perfection, he absolutely terrifies the servers. An escort knight backs him up, demanding they listen to the young master. The disguised girl curses inwardly, wondering why these fools are defending him, and quickly decides to shift her target. Thinking she should eliminate these annoying guards first, she offers them the food. But the knights refuse, stating they only work for the master and won't touch it. Frustrated, she snarls at them to eat. Kim Yak cuts in, slyly suggesting she take a bite first to prove it is not poisoned. Before she can react, Kim Yak's teammate rushes over, telling him to stop being so difficult. Wanting to prove her innocence, the brown-haired ally and two others chug the soup. They collapse instantly, prompting horrified screams from the rest of the group as they fall unconscious. Kim Sak stands up completely unfazed, noting he wanted to knock them out anyway. He tells his dark assistant to leave them be, as they clearly need to learn a lesson. When the entity reveals the poison converts holy power into dark magic, Kimak is thrilled. It turns disgusting holy energy into glorious dark magic. He bursts out, laughing in pure joy. He realizes he can build a dark magic farm right here. The serving girl laughs maniacally, swirling with dark energy and calling him a helpless brat. Kim Yisak just smirks, calling them batteries. Revealing her true form as a horned eye-patched demon, she orders him to follow her if he wants the antidote. One of the knights spits out a curse at the sight. Suddenly, a blinding beam of holy light blasts her. Kim Yisak charges forward, wielding a massive holy relic. The devastating impact sends her flying, forcing the wounded demon to flee into the woods. She coaxes him to chase her, and though the knights step up, Kim Yak stops them. He decides to go alone, pointing out that his unconscious allies need protection. The stunned knights agree to guard the priests. Kim Yusak nods, telling them to do a good job. He turns away, pulling up his hood with a sharp glint in his eyes. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Is he really going alone? Absolutely. He vanishes into the moonlit night while the demon Ash sneers, convinced this brave fool is an easy meal. Kimak growls, mocking her confidence. He tells her she has no idea who she is dealing with. His eyes flash crimson as he unleashes an absolute, heavy command to kneel. Suffocating pressure forces her to her knees. Behind Kim Yizak, the terrifying illusion of the Skeleton King rises. Ash trembles violently, wondering how this mere kid possesses the king's supreme authority. Seeing his dark aura, rage erupts inside her. Believing he stole a fragment of her king's body, she vows to tear him apart and free her lord, charging forward with explosive power. But a wave of sacred blue energy blocks her path, neutralizing her strength. A massive, terrifying skeletal monster materializes in the light, casting a suffocating freeze over the entire area. A crushing blow destroys everything in its path. Standing in the dust, Kima calls her a fool as dark magic erupts, promising to show her who her true king is under the quiet night sky. His companion cheers, amazed by a fifth-tier spell carrying the power of the seventh circle. Yizuk smirks, realizing that combining holy and dark energies is an absolute stroke of genius. He muses that the gods feared creating someone like him. Nearby, a terrified Ash whimpers to her king. Yiz brutally grabs her chin, forcing her to look up as she begs for mercy. She offers the antidote, but he releases her, demanding she bring the kidnapped paladins within 1 minute. He smiles sinisterly, wanting solid proof of his victory to secure a perfect score. 2 days later, a brown-haired companion anxiously ruffles his hair, wondering where Isaac is. His scarred teammate tries to calm him down, reminding him they have tracking devices to find him. He insists Isaac wouldn't fall easily, but the other retorts that something is wrong. The mages have searched multiple times, which is highly unusual. The scarred ally hesitates. He notes there was blood along the path, though it doesn't mean he is dead. Suddenly, Yeek stands at the door, announcing his return. He silently tosses a blood-stained bag onto the floor. He presents the antidote, but when the assistant opens the bag, he screams at the severed head inside. Yiz just blinks innocently in his small, childlike form, asking what the big deal is. He claims it is the kidnapper's head for their perfect score. As Commander Derek rushes over, Yak lazily points outside, explaining the paladins were too heavy to carry. A soldier bursts in out of breath to report the missing paladins have returned. While joy erupts outside, the shocked assistants stare at Yuck. asking if this really is the culprit's head. Sitting cross-legged, the boy explains he went in alone. The assistants find going into the mage's territory completely absurd, but Yizuk just smiles and begins spinning his dramatic tale. He weaves a grand story about using the Pope's authority to intimidate the enemy, finding the captives, and defeating a demon guard. The scarred knight raises a glass in belief. The assistants still look worried, calling it far too reckless to go in alone. Placing a hand on his chest with fake sincerity, Yak claims direct combat would have caused too many casualties. He claims as a protector of the faith, he could not allow blood. Tears well up in the scarred knight's eyes, while his frustrated teammate is stopped from cursing. Told to watch his mouth, the ally stifles his anger and expresses relief. Kim Yak smirks at the idea of the mages worrying about him, just as two dark-robed mages enter. They claim they came out of concern, not to be insulted. Yak crosses his arms, calling them liars. Smiling, the male mage asks for cooperation, citing reports of a local demon. And that's where we leave it for now. Trust me, you and I are going to want to see how he wriggles out of this one when the mages keep pushing. Alright, you and I are diving into a wild story. A confused mage, a flinching subordinate, and a weird family name coincidence, our main character just shrugs it off and leaves to rest. Ignoring the angry shouting behind him, Yuzak leaves the chaotic crowd. He makes a move toward an isolated wooden shack, sitting quietly all by itself deep within the dark forest. He kicks the door open with glowing red eyes. Inside, the demoness Ash shivers on the floor. Flashback to 2 days ago when Yak cornered her, accusing her of devouring the Azure apprentices. Terrified, Ash claims a weakling like him couldn't possibly defeat Relay. But Yak just sneers, demanding she bring him a head for the Holy See or he will gladly take hers. Back in the present, Yak sits on a wooden crate. She actually brought the target's head. Ash shivers, realizing he knew it was her sister all along because family energy always feels similar. With the enemy dead, Yak demands details on the demon hierarchy. Internally, he wonders why the gods remain silent 150 years after his self-destruction, especially since the seal is empty. Now pay attention to this twist. Why aren't they hunting him? Simple. Another high-ranking soul took his place. A god, the Skeleton King. Ash is absolutely terrified by this realization. Ash submits completely. Yak sits on her back, ordering her to spy on the demons. Outside, the emotional knights weep with immense gratitude, calling him a true savior of the Azure. Commander Derek shouts as Yisak plays humble. Suddenly, Derek gets a sudden realization about their pack mule situation. He spins around, drops to his knees, and addresses young Master Isaac. Derek and his entire unit swear absolute loyalty to Yisak. The entire 4th Holy Knight Order bows down together. This is highly unexpected, but Yisak's mind is already scheme plotting. Free elite soldiers, intel, and connections. All this just from saving 11 people is an absolute steal. Suddenly, his plotting stops as he notices a young kid staring at him. Derek smiles, telling him he is in for a massive shock. The kid steps forward, introducing himself as Hyperius, Prince of the Arcane Empire. Yisak completely freezes up. He realizes why the mages were so desperate to attack their own royal prince was captured. What a jackpot. Meanwhile, young Hyperion cheerfully admits he thought everyone from Yahello was scum. But since Isaac saved his life, the prince views him as a saint compared to the corrupt church leaders. With sparkling eyes, he begs to repay his new heroic big brother. Yak smirks as a devious plan begins to form. He pinches the boy's cheek, questioning if he can truly help. Meanwhile, far away, reports say the Azure team has entered Chrysandia. The Cardinal does not even look up from his desk, assuming the wild beasts would stop them. Learning Yach, when alone, he sneers, confident no one can tame beasts they themselves abandoned. The subordinate smirks, confirming their deadly trap is set. The Cardinal muses that the Azure Patriarch will use mages to wipe them out, ignoring any worries about royal interference. No one dares meddle in a lawless, disputed zone. The Cardinal coldly orders that if Yak somehow survives, he must never return home, already smiling at the Azure family's upcoming ruin. Back in Chrysania, Yisak lets out a wild laugh. Eager to humiliate his enemies, he shoves Hyperius forward as their ultimate weapon against the Holy See. The youngest prince of a hostile empire is casually revealed. His teammates stare in complete horror. When Yisak acts confused, a teammate screams, asking who introduces a foreign prince so carelessly. Hyperius just grins, apologizing for the shock. His teammate frantically asks if this is a kidnapping, but Yisak only responds with a deeply menacing, savage grin. With the prince saved, the Arcane Empire owes them a massive debt, perfectly trapping the Holy See. Hyperius instantly praises Yak as a master strategist. His teammate clutches his head in absolute despair as Yak signals for complete silence. Instead of a triumphant announcement, Yak demands they keep this entirely secret for now. The enemy factions set traps to sabotage us. But what if the prince gets caught in those traps? Hyperion happily promises to jump into fire for him as Yak grins with glowing red eyes. Time to destroy those golden enemies. Though his teammate warns this puts the prince in danger, triggering a massive international investigation if he gets hurt. Yak is completely unbothered. Yak winks confidently. Let them investigate. Even if Cardinal Barrett tries to hide his tracks, he has accomplices we can use. His teammate turns absolutely pale. Instead of a messy diplomatic fight, he is going to use the mages. With a sudden roar, Yak triggers his crazy plan, making Hyperion cheer while his teammate freezes up. Everyone wonders if he has truly lost his mind. Suddenly, a huge explosion rocks the area. A massive column of dark smoke rises right where the mages are stationed. Yak laughs at his horrified friends. Since those mages dared to covet his precious resources, he pulls down his mask and leaps straight off the balcony. Pure chaos erupts at the camp. Supplies are instantly destroyed in a perfect ambush. An old mage coughs through the smoke, realizing the Azure apprentices attacked. Believing they were hit first, a female mage orders an attack on the priests. But Yak steps out of the shadows with a menacing grin, pushing Hyperion forward. The young prince screams at his own people. The mages freeze in utter confusion, wondering why their royalty is here, just as Yak holds a cold sword to his neck. You and I both know how insane this kid is, but threatening a prince to rob his own mages, his teammate can only pray for divine punishment to strike him down. The noble Joshua family always preferred death over dishonor, yet their current descendant is laughing like a maniac, threatening to decapitate the prince. The mages watch in complete horror. Knowing the prince is incredibly strong, the mages assume he must be mind-controlled. Desperate to stop the madness, Yak's teammate yells for him to calm down. The old mage tries to negotiate, but Yak aggressively demands all their goods. When a young mage tries to rescue the prince, Hyperion angrily slaps his hand away. Calling them useless, the prince fake rages and strikes the mage for failing to save him, demanding they obey his royal orders and give up immediately. Yak throws the prince onto his shoulder as they both shout for the mages to surrender. Realizing they have no choice, the defeated old mage kneels and hands over everything. In exchange for the prince, Yak is obsessed with getting his hands on the precious manticore crystals. Sneering at their submission, he agrees to let them off the hook. But he still threatens to report their conspiracy of hunting demons with anti-priest weapons, cutting off the mages' desperate attempts to deny the charges. Asking if they want the prince dead, Yak forces them to retreat. That very night, a sound of wild, maniacal laughter echoes loudly throughout their rented-in room. A massive pile of precious crystals is dumped onto the floor, and Yak rolls in them ecstatically. Watching him, Hyperion is in complete awe of his brilliant brother. The prince is thrilled to find someone who appreciates arcane manticores, eagerly promising to make the Joshua family filthy rich as a reward for his grand rescue. The prince even suggests defecting to the Empire, making their exhausted teammates snap and yell. He desperately tries to get serious, telling Yizak they have an urgent family issue. As Yak sleepily ignores him, his teammate drops a massive bombshell about their fourth uncle. Trust me, you and I need to see where this crazy journey goes next. All right, you and I are diving into a world where our main character must crush his rivals. When his teammate warns him about having no proof, Yizak just smirks. The enemy already knows their secret lineage. They recognized us because of how we look. But Yak kicks him instantly. Who would ever mistake you for a Joshua? That old man was tipped off. The realization hits him like a truck. Someone from our own family leaked the secret. Wake up. Your uncle literally tried to have you murdered. As the horror finally sinks in, Yizak drops a bombshell. The azure, the gold, even the crown. Everyone was betrayed. Meanwhile, at Sanctuses, a shocked voice demands answers. The Azure trainees are returning alive. Not only that, they actually saved the kidnapped victims. The frustrated cardinal gritted his teeth. How did that annoying brat survive? But then the scout drops the real news. The young prince of the Arcane Empire, Prince Hyperion, was rescued too. Isaac Joshua demands a full investigation. The cardinal roars in fury. Now that the prince is involved, this is no longer a simple training accident. It is attempted murder. Suddenly, a messenger bursts in. The powerful Joshua Patriarch has arrived, demanding to see his fourth son and causing absolute chaos at Barrett. Back in the capital, Yizak laughs. His plan worked. He successfully manipulated his grandfather into turning his rage toward the traitorous fourth uncle. A loyal subordinate kneels before him. She thanks him for avenging her brother, who died 14 years ago. Yizak casually shrugs it off as a minor detail. How are the others reacting? just like the furious patriarch. Elsewhere, Lord Gaul rages at the madness of trying to kill Isaac. Someone points out their hair colors are completely different, earning a sharp, angry command to shut up. Meanwhile, the family financial manager, Lord Benjamin, burns the trader's inheritance papers. Everything goes back to society. Back in the square, Yitzhak prepares for the upcoming family reunion. His companion warns him that the Fourth Lord wants him dead, but Yitzhak remains completely unbothered. He has no plans to die. But something is off. Another faction is way too quiet. Now watch closely, because this is where the action starts. A paper flutters, the ground cracks, and a holy summoning circle erupts. The woman gasps in terror. Yitzhak is dragged through the blinding light. Landing with a smug smile, he mocks Cardinal Leon for using such a desperate summoning spell. The enraged cardinal grabs him. The cardinal demands to see the amusement he was promised. Yitzhak just smirks, noting that the young prince seems perfectly fine. Leon lifts his chin, demanding answers. How dare he drag the royal prince into this? Yitzhak casually claims he did it to help. Help? In a quick flashback, Leon remembers wanting to use this crisis to extort his enemies. He had believed the rumor that the Pope and the Joshua family traitor were behind the entire plot. He wanted to use Yitzhak to destroy his rivals and gain the ultimate power to face 14 demons. Back in the present, Leon sneers. But right before him, the captured little prince is throwing an absolute tantrum, screaming and kicking on the floor. He screams that they behave like total barbarians, fiercely defending his savior, Isaac, while insulting his captors. An angry paladin threatened to kill the boy, but Leon realized the truth. Yitzhak set this whole interrogation up specifically to scare the Gold faction. He fell right into his trap. By handing over the young prince, Yitzhak forced the Gold faction into a total panic. Back in the present, Leon growls at the smiling boy. How dare you play us like this? Suddenly, a female warrior draws her weapon, pointing it directly at Leon. She warns Yitzhak he won't get away with this. Yitzhak just smiles, mockingly acting worried for his allies. You and I both know he is lying. The dark force inside him laughs, knowing he loves this chaos. Leon freezes, a terrifying realization dawning on him. With a twisted manic grin, Leon unleashes a massive shockwave that sends the woman crashing to the dirt. Coughing, she struggles to stand as the cardinal slowly steps forward, asking about his secret. Laughing wildly, Leon warns that killing a mere apprentice is easy. He unleashes a deadly wave of pure killing intent, swinging directly at Yitzhak, who just stands there completely unfazed. He mocks the boy's family for only teaching them how to die quickly. The woman screams for him to run, but Yitzhak easily blocks the devastating strike with one hand. Looking up with a smug smile, Yitzhak presents a rare golden card engraved with a rose. This is more than enough payment, Cardinal. Leon leans closer, his smile turning tense. He demands to know if Yitzhak actually killed the beast. Yitzhak fires back that it is a secret, mockingly pointing out that his rival's family always struggles with basic monsters. Leon's smile instantly hardens into pure fury. He storms off, cursing. As Yitzhak waves him goodbye, the worried woman rushes over, while Yitzhak notes how many psychopaths lead the Red Clan. Watching him leave, the girl notices the strange item in his hand. It is an exclusive pass to the infamous prison, a crucial key to getting his loyal followers back. With this, he can finally free his retainers. Meanwhile, the Grand Oversight Committee is buzzing with anticipation. Who will win? Everyone expects the Gold team, but the Red faction is already out. Heavy footsteps echo as the Azure team enters the arena, led by none other than Yitzhak. His teammate silently panics, terrified of the trouble Yitzhak always brings with him. He's nearly died a dozen times because of this guy. Yitzhak coldly orders his team to smile, forcing them to plaster on awkward grins just as their golden rivals arrive. Their fierce rivals strut proudly into the arena, casting arrogant sneers at the Azure squad. They are incredibly confident, having successfully recovered a lost Imperial relic with the help of Kina. Nearby, other competitors openly mock the Azure team. The Grand Moderator suddenly speaks, cutting through the heavy tension and ordering the entire arena to stand. The final results will be delivered by the Emperor himself. The massive gates swing open as the ruler and prince enter, turning this tournament into a historic event. The Gold team smirks, absolutely convinced the Emperor came solely to praise their treasure. The entire stadium holds its breath as the first results are announced. Yitzhak's teammate listens with intense anxiety. The Red team displays a glittering holy sword crafted by a legendary genius, but the Gold team just stands there, smiling smugly. Finally, the Gold team's prize is shown. A magnificent royal necklace, lost for centuries to outlaws. The Azure team members freeze in absolute shock at the sight. The Emperor admits he is genuinely impressed, noting the necklace was lost generations ago. The Gold Team beams, mocking the Azure Squad for being completely useless compared to them. The Azure members grit their teeth in pure anger. Then the announcer calls their name. They saved a group of elite paladins kidnapped in Crescendia, making their rivals scoff at the minor feat. But that is not all. They also slew the legendary beast that slaughtered the apprentices 14 years ago, finally healing a scar that lasted for over a decade. The Gold Team desperately whispers that their royal treasure is still more valuable, but the announcer delivers a final crushing blow. They also rescue the Crown Prince of the Arcane Empire. Their rivals stand completely paralyzed. The announcer lists the incredible ransom demands met, including the total abolition of the arcane transit tax. The Empire has accepted all terms. Yizak crosses his arms, smiling, while the Emperor comforts his son. And honestly, you and I are left just as speechless by this legendary victory. All right, you and I are diving into this epic moment where the Emperor tells the apprentices that while treasures bring glory, saving lives is far more precious. This shocking declaration completely stuns the other teams. The Azure team members stand there dazed, slowly realizing they actually won. As the Emperor finishes, a Gold Team member clears his throat nervously, sensing defeat. The whispering crowd knows Isaac's achievement is unprecedented. A cleric remarks that saving lives is the ultimate act of faith, far better than riches. Meanwhile, a silver-haired young man clenches his fists, muttering that there is no way Isaac did not plan this. He saw right through it. Bringing those citizens back was a genius move masterminded by Kim. Up on the balcony, the Emperor raises his voice to finally announce the official results. He praises the team that overcame all odds to save lives. Isaac's teammates explode with joy while he keeps a mysterious smile. The Golden Pentagon officially belongs to Team Azure. Later, in the quiet Azure dormitory hallway, the clan head walks with a thoughtful look. He mutters that he only told him to come back alive, yet Isaac actually pulled off the impossible. A rare smile appears on his face, imagining the glorious future the boy will build. He reaches for the door to Kim Yasak's room, but before he can enter, an arrogant voice shouts from inside, "Successor?" "Nonsense." Kim Yasak stands proudly on a chair, directing his teammates. "Just do exactly that," the boy says, crossing his arms with a mischievous, delighted grin. "And Grandpa will be totally charmed." He boasts that the family throne is practically his, completely ignoring his companions' terrified faces. Noticing the sudden silence, he turns. Why did everyone go quiet? Right behind him, the clan head looms with an icy voice. "Isaac, it seems normal discipline is not going to cut it." Kim Yasak breaks into a cold sweat. A sharp scream rings out, followed by the sound of instant punishment. Later, fuming in his room, Kim Yasak yells that it is nonsense and asks what he did wrong. The dark entity replies that he literally said those things right in front of him. Kim Yasak grinds his teeth, but then a genius idea hits him. Now watch closely as he spots a silver-haired man arriving outside. Kim Yasak rushes out, hugging him with tear-filled eyes, crying, "Uncle." "Isaac." His uncle is totally bewildered. Suddenly, pure rage erupts. "Who made you cry? I will take their heads." Kim Yasak sobs, saying he thinks Grandpa hates him and he should probably run away. Relly kneels in pure panic, asking what happened. Kim Yasak whimpers that he is being kicked out just for wanting some wine. Relly is horrified, painfully remembering his brother who died 10 years ago. Determined to protect his only nephew, he holds the boy's face, totally ignoring Kim Yasak's secret annoyance. Kim Yasak cries about his ruined dream of becoming a priest and fighting the Skeleton King together. "Do not worry, Isaac. Your uncle will handle everything." Relly proudly thumps his chest. "Forget the Pentagon test. This is a piece of cake." Relly storms off furiously to demand justice, while Kim Yasak watches him go with a smug grin. The next day at Sancta's prison, the guard captain blocks his path, saying he must wait 14 days. Kim Yasak just smirks, enjoying the power of the token in his hand. He threatens to come back after heads roll. Terrified, the captain frantically bargains. "How about 10 days? 5. Please? 3 days." Kim Yasak pretends to walk away. "Tomorrow. No later," the captain yells. "Good. That works," Kim Yasak says, patting his shoulder. The dark entity asks why he is not meeting them now. "Tomorrow is much better," Kim Yasak smirks. At the Grand Coliseum, the host announces the final Pentagon test. The mission is just defeating some monsters. His teammates cheer, but Kim Yasak turns red with embarrassment. "Easy as pie," a teammate yells, thinking Kim Yasak pulled some strings. Kim Yasak stays completely silent, his face darkening at this ridiculous setup. The monsters in the arena are just two scrawny skeletons. Suddenly, the skeletons get incredibly excited, realizing their king has arrived. Amidst loud cheers that the king is here to save them, Kim Yasak completely freezes up in horror. Cold sweat breaks out as the irony hits him. You and I can see the absolute nightmare unfolding, while Relly gives a happy thumbs up, completely clueless of the chaos he just caused. Skeletons are weak, foolish, the absolute lowest class of demons, summoned only for slaughter and amusement. But even worse are the memories of himself dying and resurrecting thousands of times. Stuck at level 1, pure rage erupts inside him. Through Yasak's eyes, the Skeleton King roars, "How dare you summon these souls before me?" The ecstatic skeletons cheer for their king. His teammates cheer too, but Yasak freezes at the required spell, Turn Undead. Rage flares within him. He died 1,000,000 times to that spell, and now he has to use it on these children? Ignoring his panic, the skeletons rush to embrace him, crushing him. Isaac, two teammates run over anxiously. "So heavy," Yasak wheezes. "Is he being attacked?" One teammate asks. "No, it actually looks like they are celebrating." Yasak calculates frantically. He has to be careful, so he decides to just drain their mana. But the system operator crushes his hope, declaring he must use Turn Undead to turn them to dust. Cornered, Yasak curses the priests. In the stands, a smug knight cheers, totally unaware he pushed the boy into hell. The crowd chatters about this being the easiest test ever, deepening his despair. He runs around frantically, totally helpless against his dancing subordinates. Finally, he decides to use a standard attack, apologizing to his children, knowing it is better than the alternative. The skeletons watch him eagerly. Yasak gathers holy power, but suddenly freezes. He kneels down, whispering that he cannot do it. His teammates stare, stunned that he cannot do something so simple. Yasak trembles. Confused, the skeletons tilt their heads. Completely losing his grip on reality, Yasak roars that he is human now, not a skeleton, so fire will hurt him. The watching knights frown in confusion. Human, not a skeleton. Realizing his massive slip-up, Yasak freezes as wild speculation begins. They wonder if he views the skeletons as human, or if he genuinely wants to save these demonized souls. Seizing the chance, Yasak adopts a saintly expression while praises ring out for the Azure family. His teammate, Tin, clutches his head, thinking they are all completely crazy. Knowing he would never do anything that noble, an impatient Tin rushes forward, telling Isaac to move. "Stop!" Yasak roars, delivering a thunderous punch that drops his teammate. He grits his teeth. He vows not to send them to hell using Turn Undead. A fierce orb of holy power forms in his palm, and energy erupts, enveloping the arena in a blinding, destructive light as Yasak fights to control the flow. He will cast it, but must keep them safe. Spectators gasp in awe, having never seen Turn Undead on such a massive scale. Inside, the skeletons reach happily toward the beautiful, blinding light. Amidst the raging storm, Yasak growls into the void, commanding his Shadow Lich to shield the children. A colossal shadow rises, enveloping the skeletons in pitch-black darkness to block the holy light. Up in the stands, shock turns to complete bewilderment. Yasak flashes a cunning smile as an Azure teammate collapses in disbelief, thinking he wiped them all out in a single blow. The paladins cheer, believing the boy has reached the prestigious bishop rank, but Yasak grits his teeth, secretly vowing to eliminate the corrupt clerics. Elsewhere, the clan head muses on the Red Cardinal's evil plot. He mutters that he would be relieved if it was only a mid-tier god, warning his companions. The entity that chose Kim Yasak is far worse than any ordinary evil god. This shocking realization leaves them completely speechless. They frantically ask if Kim Yasak is going to summon a disaster-level god. The clan head buries his face in his hands, trying to regain his composure. The absolute priority is bringing Kim Yasak back for proper education. Suddenly, a messenger bursts in, reporting that young Master Isaac is heading straight towards Sanctus prison. All three jump to their feet in shock. Relly stammers, wondering how he could possibly enter the Red Faith's prison. Hearing that the Red Cardinal gave Isaac a token, the clan leader clenches his fist. His eyes glow red with absolute fury as they head to Sanctus prison. "Trust me, you and I are going to want to see what happens in the next chapter." "All right, you and I are heading straight to prison with Kim Jakok and his dark summon. That gross undead transformation spell worked, but man, he is shivering from exhaustion now. He did all this for one specific reward, a rope that dispels dark aura and hides his magic inside. With the area clear, Jae-sok smirks, snaps his fingers, and suddenly vanishes from sight. An army of skeletons rises, cheering happily for their master. But Jae-sok coldly points to his shadow Lich and orders them back, leaving the poor undead completely stunned. They cling to his cloak, begging to stay, but Jessic snaps that they will expose him. After ordering his summon to send them home safely, Quiet returns. Now, let us go inside. Suddenly, he freezes. Clinging to his chest is a tiny skeleton. Jason curses, realizing its magic was too faint to notice. Right then, a guard squad appears, calling for Isaac Joshua. If they get caught, this little guy is finished. Hiding the tiny stowaway deep inside his cloak, Jasek warns him to stay put. The heavy gate creaks open, and he steps inside. He recalls the file. A level 9 pure-blooded demon locked up for 50 years, who actually knelt before clerics to protect his king's remains. Jason's eyes narrow. It really is you, Bloodlord Shabnak. Even using special scouting binoculars, the dark summon cannot spot their target. Jackok scowls in pure frustration just as a white-haired guard captain approaches them. The captain tells him to be grateful, but Juke just snaps, flashing his identification card. When another guard tries to search him suspiciously, Jasok's eyes flash a deadly crimson. Touch me and you die. The guards freeze instantly under his crushing pressure, unable to move a muscle. Jess roars that touching him means declaring war on the powerful Joshua family. He fakes pure madness, threatening to bite his tongue and end his own life. A terrifyingly unhinged aura looms behind him, leaving the terrified guards whispering in absolute panic. Finally, the captain relents and tells them to let him pass since he has the token. The guard bows and leads the way, earning a quiet grumble from Jackok. Walking down the freezing corridor, they stop at a massive door. The guard warns him that the demon's aura beyond can cause heart failure, but Jackok just tells him to shut up. Now watch closely as the heavy iron door slowly creaks open. Suddenly, a massive wave of pure dark energy erupts, completely stunning both the guards and Kim Yasek. Behind the bars, a massive figure with glowing yellow eyes roars as chains rattle. The guards panic because he had been completely silent until now. The heavy demonic pressure makes the air feel thick as lead. A terrified guard begs him to leave immediately because of this insane power. But instead of running, Kim Yasak wears a wide, delighted grin. "You beautiful bastard." He calls the power delicious, smiling brightly inside the deadly aura. The guards watch in horror, convinced he is insane. Meanwhile, Kim realizes the demon thinks the clerics forced him here. Beside him, the summon panics. Shabnak is roaring in absolute fury, triggered by a painful memory of his master being humiliated. "How dare you make my master bow?" he screams. The captain orders backup, determined to keep the demon alive until execution day. Kim sees his chance, but with everyone watching him closely, he needs to wait for a better moment. Suddenly, the holy chains glow, burning the demon's flesh. Kim realizes the Pope's power might kill him before the rescue, but using magic right now would definitely give him away. The tiny skeleton peeks out, offering to talk to the giant demon. Calling him a cute little bastard, Kim mentally orders him to deliver the chain-breaking stone. As Kim nervously clenches his fists, the guard totally misinterprets his tension. The guard praises his family, but Kim just smiles mysteriously. Suddenly, his eyes sparkle as he changes his act. He is just stalling for time, praising his clan to keep them distracted. While the skeleton runs to the cell with the crystal, Kim keeps babbling. He claims he almost wet himself, but praises the guards, saying they would be elite commanders in his house. The bewildered guards listen as Kim whispers a fake secret. He claims he is on a special clan test, and his mission is to injure a powerful, high-ranking demon. I know what you were thinking, but check this out. While the guards are speechless, the adorable tiny skeleton gives the massive demon a cheeky high-five in the background. The guards figure his family is just insane. With the mission done, Kim boldly grabs a guard's hand, asking if they want to join his clan, leaving them stunned. Suddenly, Kim fakes a headache, acting like the mission was too much. The guards rush to support him, offering to take him home. From the cell's shadows, Shabnak whispers his deepest gratitude. While being escorted out, Kim hides a victorious smile. The captain reassures him they are almost at the exit, but just as they step outside, a cold voice stops them. "Wait!" A red-haired cleric blocks their way, demanding to inspect his token before they can leave. Kim freezes instantly, thinking of the holy token given by the cardinal. The cleric sneers that the token tests his faith. Kim asks calmly if it changes color, though he is secretly terrified because the token has turned pitch black. Beside him, his summon gasps. Sweat pours down Kim's neck, fearing exposure. The cleric demands the token, accusing him of hiding something. But Kim stands his ground, snapping that nothing has changed. Kim yells, accusing the cleric of trying to steal the token to blame him later. He spins a wild lie about them stealing family money, leaving the guards completely dumbfounded. Kim presses his advantage, asking how he can trust them on their own turf. Deeply insulted, the red-haired cleric roars, demanding how he dares question his family honor. Gritting his teeth, veins pop on the cleric's fist as he drops the token demand. Instead, he unleashes a terrifying surge of holy power, stunning both Kim and his summon. A massive statue materializes behind him as the cleric smiles manically. He boasts there is a better way, revealing the judgment altar, a holy relic that measures faith. Kim turns pale, recognizing the dangerous relic used to hunt heretics. He cannot believe the cleric's absolute recklessness in using this on another noble, while the cleric laughs gleefully. The cleric boasts that the goddess cries tears for believers, but wide-eyed shock awaits heretics. The guards jeer at Kim to prove his innocence, but he coldly asks why he should play along. They demand he step forward, but Kim stands firm, warning them of his family's wrath. Before he can even finish, a rough hand grabs him from behind and drags him forward. Thrown to his knees before the giant stone figure, a blinding pillar of light locks him down. The cleric whispers with a sinister grin that it will all be over soon. Panic rises as Kim realizes he cannot even move or run. The cleric dramatically commands the statue to open its eyes, but instead, a dark crimson tear rolls down its cheek. The cleric freezes in horror. Blood tears only fall for cardinals, and there is no way this kid has faith. Kim is equally shocked until his summon's voice rings in his mind. His summon warns him to hide his emotions. It realized the truth: the altar is not measuring Kim's faith, but the tiny skeleton's absolute, pure loyalty to his king. Anxious whispers spread among the guards, terrified of his family's wrath. Trembling with rage, the cleric demands to know what he did, but Kim instantly plays the victim perfectly. He warns them his family will hear about this, but suddenly, the statue's eyes glow red. His summon screams to run as violent, dark energy erupts from the opening eyes. And that is where we leave Kim, narrowly saved by a shadow hand. Trust me, you and I are definitely going to want to see how he survives his next mistake. Alright, you and I are jumping straight into one crazy story. This priest points wildly, screaming that the goddess opened her eyes, but the guards see absolutely nothing. Man, you scared the life out of me. Yes, thanks. While his shadow buddy realizes only the priest can see this illusion. Now, with the guards doubting him, the priest is totally panicking. Yes, just watches casually, like he is at the movies. The desperate priest roars to get back inside, but Yusak snaps back, asking if he is trying to cheat the results. Patting the tiny skeleton hidden under his cloak, he whispers praises to the kid. He glares at the priest, calling him pathetic, which completely shatters the priest's remaining patience. The priest lunges for yes, but an iron grip catches his wrist. It is the Azure family patriarch, eyes burning sharp. He warns that he came exactly for this, squeezing the wrist of the man touching his nephew. Are you crazy? Bal Joshua quickly steps in, knowing things will explode if his father hurts the kid. Seeing his chance, Kim Yisak slyly tugs his uncle's sleeve. Cue the fake tears. He whimpers that Uncle Nizer hit him. The patriarch instantly explodes, asking if the bastard wants to die, threatening to drag this straight to the Red Cardinal. Bilal Joshua tries to play it cool, saying the kid is just faking, while Balo kicks the priest on the ground anyway. Total chaos. A random guy nearby panics, shouting they will ruin him, while Kimach literally just sits there eating popcorn. His friend urges him to leave before things get even worse. A heresy trial? Isaac scoffs, saying he already had one. He plays up the victim card to his uncle, crying that Nizer dragged out a scary statue and forced him to kneel, making his uncle boil with rage. So, you are about to get burned at the stake, his friend whispers. Yacha smirks, while Bal growls a deadly threat, and the priest frantically tries to defuse the situation. Look, we only tested him, and young Master Isaac passed with flying colors. Just then, Cardinal Leon Sepp struts in with a smug grin, claiming he has never seen such beautiful blood tears. He mocks the commotion, surprised to see Patriarch Azure. Air points a furious finger, barking, "You bastard, how dare you target my nephew?" But Leon does not even flinch. Leon claims testing Isaac was fully justified. But watch closely here, Azure completely loses his temper, roaring that their third son illegally used the judgment of faith on his nephew. Turning to Leon, Azure drops a heavy threat, demanding to know if he wants war. Realizing he is cornered, Leon freezes, crosses his arms, and offers compensation if they return his token. "I do not want this garbage for another second," Azure replies coldly. He storms off, muttering about giving Isaac such trash, while Leon shouts back that the kid requested it himself. Once they are away, Azure fumes over them using the altar on the kid, but a proud smile breaks out when he remembers Isaac actually made the statue cry blood tears, handing him the token. He apologizes for doubting his faith, noting that if the statue truly cried blood, this token would reveal its true power. Suddenly, the token transforms into a dark, ghostly card. An illusion of Yak being crucified flashes before the token shatters. Leon reappears with a nasty sneer, but an invisible force suddenly blasts Azure backward as the ancient fragment pieces scatter everywhere. You broke the first Pope's relic. Azure roars, standing up with eyes blazing, shouting he has nothing to return. Meanwhile, rumors of the miracle blood tears spread like wildfire. Leon rubs his temples in frustration. He accidentally turned Kim Yisak into the top sync candidate. He snaps at Neon Sep, asking if they would dare test him again after such massive public results. Are you trying to ruin our reputation? He glares at the trembling heir, lecturing him that he cannot even handle a simple task, leaving the young man sweating bullets in pure terror. Non rants that becoming Pope is their only hope of survival, but Leon cuts him off. While losing the sacred faith measuring token is annoying, it is not a total disaster. Leon wears a scheming smile, planning to use the upcoming sacrificial ceremony to his advantage. Meanwhile, the red-haired youth is still screaming, completely traumatized by the terrifying illusion he saw. You and I both know this is a trap, but Leon coldly lists Kim Yisak anyway, forcing his terrified son to beg to participate as Isaac's loyal servant. Leon absolutely hates this idea, roaring in fury. Why would a noble red-haired heir do something so deeply humiliating? But the young man stands firm, determined to find evidence himself. Leon crushes his hope, announcing that Kenna has already volunteered to be the servant. While Kenna gets prepped for her role, the Joshua patriarch sits in his mansion, wearing a dark, evil grin. A family member asks if that is why he broke it. The patriarch explains he set up another test for Kim Yisak, blaming the blood tears on a mysterious woman named Melissa. He casually admits to stealing the device from the Red family, glad they do not have to worry about an evil god choosing him. One member sighs, pointing out that if he is actually an evil god, that is way worse. After all, high scores summon gods at the ceremony, and the Red Cardinal is eagerly waiting. Joshua grits his teeth after reading a mocking letter from the Black Cardinal. He orders Gold to make she the servant, absolutely refusing to let Yisak summon a god. On the day of the Colosseum ceremony, the halls are filled with chaotic shouting. Shuri clutches his head in absolute despair as the red-haired heir and Ka literally brawl over the servant spot. Kim Yisak watches them coldly, thinking about how satisfying it would be to smash their heads together. Meanwhile, his shadow companion mutters about the sacrifice a massive, chained great demon. They both scream that they are the true servant, prompting She to threaten them with violence. He tries to calm Yak, but freezes when he receives a bone-chilling reply instead. Wondering if the evil god rumors are actually true, She grabs Isak's shoulder, asking why everyone is so desperate to serve him. Kana wants training, while the red-haired heir claims it is his duty. Isak snaps, declaring he does not need any of them, pointing at Shuri and labeling him a simple coat rack. As she fumes, the Colosseum buzzes with anticipation as candidates in white robes enter. An excited noble whispers that it is his first time seeing Lady Ka. But Cardinal Leon's faction scoffs at her candidacy, insisting the prophecy points strictly to the Red family. An argument over the holy mark erupts until a sudden shout silences the crowd. Kim Yisak steps out of the shadows, flanked by Ka and the incredibly tense red-haired heir. The entire crowd gasps at the bizarre scene before them. Yak is literally riding piggyback on the red-haired heir, while Ka shades him with a giant leaf as Shuri walks behind them. Shuri grumbles to himself that this crazy bastard will definitely summon a terrifyingly brutal evil god. The stadium goes silent as Leon roars in embarrassment over his kin's public humiliation. While Azure scowls, Cardinal Seraphim laughs, teasing the Gold Cardinal about his son's surprising behavior. The Gold Cardinal fires back, keeping his eyes glued on Ka's ambition. He secretly plots to use this servitude as a stepping stone to the papacy, refusing to let the spot go to Isaac. Since Isaac is strong enough to summon elite gods, having Kina cling to him is the ultimate strategy. Seraphine sneers, asking why the Gold faction is plotting in silence again. The Gold Cardinal coldly dismisses her, though his goal remains making Kenna Pope. Suddenly, a Red Cardinal smirks, revealing he secretly added Isaac to the dangerous summoning list. They freeze in absolute shock. Trust me, you and I are not ready for the chaos coming next. All right, you and I are dropping straight into the arena, where a voice declares the execution is starting as crimson energy explodes to reveal a chained colossal beast. The crowd panics, screaming that it is a great demon. As the chained monster roars and floods the arena with dark energy, a terrified girl named Kina cries out. Now watch closely. The red-haired boy stares in shock, wondering how strong the master is if this thrashing demon is just a subordinate tearing space apart. Isaac grips the ribbon, whispering Shabnok with fierce determination to save him. Trust me, you and I will definitely be back for the next epic chapter. Bye-bye.